If the social justice, those backing the social justice agenda could have everything they wanted, what would the country look like?
We'd be killing each other.
All right.
Jarring, isn't it?
Oh, you didn't know what to say. Like, okay.
If the social justice warriors got everything they wanted on their agenda, where would we be? Killing each other. You get what Sol is saying? It's just start to the importance of this moment in American history. Does that start to drive it home a bit? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Because we've seen it before. We're seeing it now in other parts of the country. I mean, to some extent, we're seeing it in this country, but we're certainly seeing it in other parts of the world, other countries. Let me give you an example of what he's talking about. Apartheid in South Africa, when whites killed blacks, whites in power killed blacks, imprisoned them. Stephen Biko, think as an example that drives the point home, makes it concrete. And what happened when apartheid fell? What's happening now in South Africa? Well, we talked about it in the show. Now it's blacks killing white farmers because they're white farmers and they want the land. Reparations of some sort. Well, that's where you go, or where you end up, I should say, when you go down this path that we're on. That's what Thomas Sowell is referring to. Where would we be if the Revolutionary Party, the Democrats, got everything on their agenda, killing each other? I hope you really think about that and challenge others to do so.
We'd already be dead.
So what do they want? Well, we know what they want. And Thomas Sowell explains with a nice handy-dandy anecdote why what they want is impossible and thus so dangerous.
They want everybody to have equal outcomes, or as close as they can get to it. Unfortunately, you don't have the preconditions for that. Even in the same family, one of the examples I use in the book is among 5-child families.
Right.
The National Merit finalist is the firstborn just over half the time. That is more often than the other 4 siblings combined. Right. The fifthborn is 6% of the time. And so it was even where you have almost ideal conditions. They're born to the same parents, raised under the same roof, and they're not the same.
Because all kinds of things matter, including birth order.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
So what happens when you can't get equal outcomes, but you're going to demand them anyway? Well, war. Thomas Sowell on John Rawls and his seminal work, Theory of Justice, which has been sort of the Bible of these, one of the Bibles of the revolutionary Marxists. I would do a philosophy 101 course here, but Sowell makes the point nicely about these outcomes that you want. Well, how do you get from here to there? Sounds nice. Sounds great. Tell me more. Well, you don't want to hear the more.
This is the big book
yeah.
on social justice, written by John Rawls, philosopher at Harvard. I'm quoting you, Tom. Rawls refers to things that society should arrange. You quote him, arrange. That's the word he uses. And then Tom Sowell says, interior decorators arrange. Governments compel. It is not a subtle distinction. Explain that.
Well, if you're going to try to get some kind of result, you have to specify through what kinds of mechanism you expect to get that result. And different mechanisms, whether it's the government, the market, the Red Cross, whatever, they have their own individual things that they're good at and not so good at. And so you can't get the social justice result that you want unless you have the kind of institution that's likely to produce that result. Politics is not that kind of institution.
And yet they all implicitly rely on government.
Yes.
Redistribution of wealth, using legal regimes to adjust the proportions of various groups that get certain jobs. They all rely on government. And what's distinctive about government is it's the one institution that can send you to jail.
Yes.
All right. And the point is that's dangerous. We shouldn't want more government, more hands in the power of the politicians.
Yeah, one of the real problems is that you have people making decisions for which they pay no price when they're wrong, no matter how high a price other people pay.
Interior decorators arrange, governments compel. Thomas Sowell is as good as anyone at stripping away the veneer of these Orwellian euphemisms that central planners use. And he's Friedman-esque in his ability to synthesize complicated dynamics in a way that's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to understand. We're going to talk more about some of what Thomas Sowell had to say, including on school choice at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour with Clarence Page. But Greg in Jefferson Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan, Amy. You know, that guy is an absolute genius. And,
yes, he is.
One of the things that, you mentioned, and I'm glad you did, about South Africa and what's happening there now, they're going to end up the same way Zimbabwe did when Mugabe took over. Got rid of all the whites, gave all the farmland to the blacks, and people ended up starving to death because of famine, because nothing grew properly. That's what's going to happen. That's the end result of all this stuff. You guys have a good one.
Thanks, Greg.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Like a small, sinister figure from a recurring nightmare, there he was back on TV. Anthony Fauci, patron saint of COVID hysteria, popped up on CNN recently to insist, against all the evidence, that masks work. Confronted with a review of 78 high-quality studies finding masks were useless for COVID, Fauci had no good answer. He insisted on the efficacy of masking nonetheless. Here's what Dr. Fauci and others like him should understand. We're not doing that again. No one is going to force little children to mask up, damaging their speech and social development. No one is going to tell Americans they must cover their faces like anonymous drones in some authoritarian dystopia. Fauci said a lot of things that weren't true, that masks were imperative and that COVID came from a wet market. He's caused untold suffering, yet escaped all accountability. His time is over.
You're smart, you're busy, and don't have time to waste on the mainstream media cycle. Salem News Channel breaks that cycle. Topics that matter from hosts worth watching. Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. Salem News Channel, not like the other guys. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find everything you need to know at snc.tv. That's snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, I see our discussion from Friday has propelled a national conversation about BLM Brandon's forthcoming chain of city-owned grocery stores.
Yes.
We'll update that at 6:06.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Flooding rains hit the south suburbs. No cash bail begins today in Illinois. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
We're about to swap prisoners with Iran. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 5 Americans detained there wrongfully, the U.S. says, will soon be set free today, along with 5 Iranians jailed here. in a deal that is also unfreezing $6 billion in Iranian money that the Biden administration says it can only be used for humanitarian purposes. But Congressman Michael McCaul, the Republican chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, tells Fox.
Guess where it's going to go? It's going to go into terror proxy operations. It's going to go into building their nuclear, not defense system, but offensive system.
Now, as far as the UN is concerned, the General Assembly starts today. President Biden is in New York City. He'll address world leaders tomorrow. So will Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Russia's invasion will be a big topic at the UN. Days after police captured an escaped murderer who was on the run for 2 weeks, there's a new manhunt for 9 juvenile suspects who fled a detention facility last night. We just found out 4 have been recaptured.
Helicopters and drones are up once again in southeastern Pennsylvania. We've just learned that the Twin Valley School District in Berks County has closed schools and offices for the day as authorities have set up a perimeter of sorts, warning residents the area of Interstate 76 and Route 10 to remain vigilant.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. The 9 broke out of a Abraxas Academy in Morgantown during a riot. There's a manhunt with a $250,000 reward in California for whoever shot and killed a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy Saturday as he sat in his patrol car at a red light. It's day 4 of the auto workers' strike affecting a GM plant in Missouri, a Ford plant in Michigan, and a Stellantis facility in Toledo, Ohio.
About 5,000 workers here. And this is where they make the Jeep Wranglers and the Gladiator. That's a pickup. These are some of the vehicles that are most profitable for the automakers, which is why they've struck here.
Fox Business Network's Jeff Flock. America's listening to
Fog in spots this morning, 55 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Quite a rainstorm for parts of the area 24 hours ago. About 4.3 inches in Hammond. Hazel Crest saw over 4 inches. Even Northerly Island, nearly 3 inches of rain. Flooding issues hit Calumet City and other parts of the south suburbs and northwest Indiana. 4 people, including 2 children, were found shot to death in Romeoville late Sunday night. Officers were sent to the 500 block of Concord Avenue, finding 2 adults and 2 children inside a residence with gunshot wounds. Investigators believe the incident occurred on Sunday morning. Illinois is officially the first state in the nation to abolish cash bail. Beginning today, cash bail will be eliminated for criminal defendants awaiting trial. In Sangamon County, Sheriff Jack Campbell says they won't be releasing criminal defendants already behind bars right away. They have a process in place for that. But there are major public safety concerns and police morale concerns.
I really think that whenever I think the legislature sees a rise in the crime rates in Illinois, that maybe they'll go back and maybe repeal it, maybe work on reform that needs to happen.
Change is part of the controversial Safety Act. Bears struggled to move the ball on offense in a 27-17 loss to the Bucs in Tampa. Justin Fields scored on a 1-yard rushing touchdown, but threw the game away with a pick six.
I think at the end of the day, we just got to execute, especially when we get the ball in the 50. At least got to get some points, and when the defense puts us in good field position, we got to turn those into points.
The 0-2 Bears visit Kansas City next Sunday. Copa is investigating after an armed thief running from police on the
information concerning a stolen vehicle in the 7400 block of South Hoyne.
The suspect exited the vehicle and ran off waving a weapon. The offender was chased by police to the 7300 block of South Hoyne, where he pointed the gun at police, and only then did an officer shoot to disable the suspect, hitting him in the leg. The offender remains hospitalized in good condition. Chicago sports found the Cubs on a 5-game losing streak following a 6-2 loss to the Diamondbacks in Arizona. White Sox managed 4 hits in a 4-0 loss to the Twins. Sky's playoff run in the first round comes to a quick end, demolished again by the Sky, 92-70. The news service of Dan and Amy 24/7, around the clock all day, every day. Listen now, danandamy247.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum wants honesty from politicians.
Whether I trust him 100% or not, or whether I think he's genuine about certain things is irrelevant to me. I just think he was a great president. the man was putting in policies, everybody was winning. So by and large, I think Trump did a lot of great things. And that's why I voted for him, and I voted for him twice. I just wish these people would just be honest, man, and not like be beating around the bush because they feel like they caught up in something.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
You've heard me discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends. Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
I'm Dave Nissen, CEO of PKF Mueller. As a CPA firm, we have been serving our business clients since 1968 by providing audit, accounting, tax, advisory, and consulting services. We as trusted advisors go beyond what our clients hired us to do by thinking outside the box to understand their operations and industry. We want to discover ways to increase their net income and cash flow by reducing costs or increasing efficiencies. To this end, PKF Mueller provides several client value-added services through strategic relationships. Our partners are specialists and serve the same type of clients that we do and add value by reducing our clients' overall electric and gas costs, discovering inaccuracies and overcharges on utility bills, assisting in financing of real estate, and helping to reduce uncollectible accounts and bad debt expenses. To learn more about our value-added service providers and how we can assist, call me directly at 630-524-5274 or dnissen@pkfmueller.com.
6:08, let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of Starcase. When you need to protect your valuable equipment, put it in a Starcase. The most dependable road cases you can buy. Go to starcase.com to order your case now. Eden, 16 minutes in, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, 30 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Right now, the Ike is starting out with minimal delay. The Stevenson is all right now as well. The Dan Ryan, though, is cropping up delays with an accident. Left shoulder inbound between Pershing and 35th. And right now, 19 minutes in from 95th to the Burns Circle interchange. Bishop Ford, stop-and-go traffic between Dalton and 130th due to high standing water. And an accident reported on the Tri-State. It's on the southbound side at Ogden Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Some fog in the area this morning, otherwise partial sun. Our high today 72. Tonight partly cloudy, low 56. Cloudy day tomorrow with a shower and the high 69. It'll be partly sunny Wednesday, the high near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
54 at O'Hare, 59 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
The Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The concept of a chain of city-owned grocery stores under the leadership of BLM Brandon is making national news. Jonathan Turley, George Washington law professor, you see on Fox News regularly.
I love him, and he's been on our program a number of times.
He was born and raised in Chicago. Went to U of C, got his law degree from Northwestern. He wrote about it, and
what did he say?
He said, I love Chicago. However, this is the solution that Johnson has to the problems that afflict some Chicago residents. Telling. Rather than addressing the underlying conditions, he's suggesting a solution that has failed historically, government-run stores. I mean, it's a cartoonish how this solution has a proposed solution has failed spectacularly. I mean, this is a punchline. These are Soviet Union era punchlines. But hey, we're starting at year zero, 2008, maybe later even in Chicago, and everything hammer and sickle oriented is new again, apparently, because, as the mayor said, all Chicagoans deserve to live near convenient, affordable, healthy grocery options. We know access to a grocery store is already a challenge for many residents, especially on the south and west sides. A better, stronger, safer future is one where our youth and our communities have access to the tools and resources they need to thrive. My administration is committed to advancing innovative whole of government, another favorite phrase, whole of government, whole of society, whole of government, whole of society. That's what all those Big Brother censors, that's their favorite phrase, to combat misinformation and disinformation. But his administration is committed to advancing innovative whole of government approaches to address these inequities, and that starts with opening up a chain of gimme dats.
I thought it was going to be called Marked Et.
I think, well,
What was your favorite? I like.
Well, I just told you.
Yeah, give me that.
No. Gimme dat.
Oh, excuse me.
So, yeah, I mean,
I pronounced it wrong.
I mentioned this in our conversation that John Cass and I had on the North Shore last night for Neutral Neighbors. The gimme dat, it just, I mean, Ralph from Rantoul, who's the creator of that name for these grocery stores, I think he really struck the right chord. I mean, I think it really fits with the cultural zeitgeist, and I also think it just sort of rolls off the tongue. Let me give you an example of what I mean. So, a couple, a genderqueer UIC English professor is going home to, before he goes home to, have some quality time with his non-binary Chicago Tribune columnist partner. He makes a call and he says, honey, I'm stopping at the Gimme Dat to get some almond milk. Do you need anything? I mean, isn't that a vignette that just reeks Chicago in 2023?
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
I mean, I did like Big Johnson's.
Big Lutz.
Big Lutz. Big Johnson's, and with you having triple threat as the greeter. I like that.
The Thrifty Johnson.
Shop, drop, and roll. It's not bad. What do we have? Well, we had Stalin's. Just straight on with the iconography, I think, would make that store.
Johnsonville's.
The Greed and Feed. Lenin's Supermarks. Not bad. Of course, this is sort of a fan favorite too. Definitely a finalist. Cheese and crack whores.
Jab and grab, where you can get a COVID booster too, combined with an RSV and a flu shot. Who doesn't want that?
The sort of the like all of there's a lot like the stock and steel.
Free for all.
The stock and steel. And you could feature a fruit and loot, like a fruit and loot produce section or farmers market of sort. Yeah, something like that.
Reparations.
Mao's Market, so on and so forth.
Randy's.
There's a lot of good ones. I mean, feel free to take more. We're trying to organize these and send them off to the 5th floor at City Hall for BLM Brandon's consideration. We're just trying to help. Just trying
BJ Bodega.
Participate.
Yeah, but you don't like Bodega because that's New York.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't. It also doesn't smack of something as grand as a chain of city-owned grocery stores.
Pick and grab.
The name has to be grand. It has to speak to the hopes and dreams of Chicagoans. Don't you know?
Lighthouse's House of Trinkets. Lightfoot's House of Trinkets.
How's that a grocery store? We're getting a little far afield. Let's use some editorial discretion here. 312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, Turnkey.pro text line.
I'm just reading the texts. Shop and Snap, for Snap.
David in Lansing.
Good morning. I could never work at a grocery or a convenience store because I would say, no, sir, you're not allowed back here. Because the number one thing I hear in gas stations and convenience stores is, can I get a? And I'd say, no, you're not allowed back here.
Okay. Carol Moments.
Hi, do you remember Service Merchandise?
I do.
They kept stuff down, and they're going to do the same thing with groceries. So much for knocking all the watermelon to find out which one is good.
Okay, thanks for the call, Carol. See, I think we're running out of creative steam here on the topic. But over the weekend, we had, against the backdrop of all this, we had the Mexican Independence Day celebration. And we also had developments on the issue of migrants coming into this country generally and specifically to Chicago. Here's a fun one. Bill Malugan's on the job for Fox News. And what's happening at the border might be interesting to you because a lot of individuals are making their way to Chicago. And we're talking about $500 million shortfall in the budget that's being in part driven by the cost to provide for migrants coming to the city that could balloon to nearly $2 billion in the next couple of fiscal years. Well, so what's happening? What's happening at the border? Fox News, on buses pulling into San Diego and Tucson, mass releasing immigrants. They got it. Fox News on the job. Well, Bill Malugan is at least.
Take a look at this video out of San Diego yesterday afternoon. What you're looking at is 3 unmarked white Border Patrol buses. They pull up and they start releasing several hundred illegal immigrants to city streets and sidewalks in San Diego across from a transit terminal. People were on this bus from as far away as China and Pakistan. And keep in mind, these buses are not from Texas. They're not Greg Abbott's buses. These are the Biden administration's buses. This is Border Patrol mass releasing people. You can see handfuls of them are standing around not knowing where they are, what to do, where to go next. And there was a remarkable exchange between one migrant and a Border Patrol agent as he asked the agent, hey, am I okay to travel to Chicago? And the agent says, yep, you're good to go. Take a listen.
You're free to go. You can call. You can do whatever you want. You're free to. Okay, it's no problem if I go to Chicago. Either you want. You're free to.
You're free to go where you want.
You're free to go. Do what you want. You want to go to Chicago? I mean, hey, your funeral, but yeah, you're free to go. To mass, I mean, these are like these tour buses.
Tour buses.
San Diego, Tucson, mass releasing, Border Patrol saying what you heard them say. And by the way, where are we tracking for August? Bill Malugan.
Back out here live, CBP sources tell Fox News that border numbers for the month of August are going to be around 230,000 migrant encounters. That would be the highest number or the highest month for 2023 and would come at a time when the White House is claiming progress and, quote, stopping the flow here at our southern border. That is simply not the reality on the ground here.
They're absolutely not stopping any flow. And we learned over the weekend that Hamlin Park on Damon and Berry there, that's turning into a migrant shelter. They're taking all of our Chicago Park District spaces that our kids use because these park districts have showers and, bathrooms for people to use. I don't know when it's going to stop. He is not putting Chicago kids first. He does not care. It's not.
Well,
it's going to get worse.
Why would it stop? We're welcoming city.
Everybody, drive by your police district. I drove by 19th twice over the weekend. And because Friday night was nice out, Dan, so they dragged their mattresses out to sleep, al fresco.
No, don't worry about that. Worry about making sure that you have a 2-acre plot to set up where the city can set up the tent city in your neighborhood, in your ward.
Yeah, and some people are getting a little lippy about that. So there's this one Venezuelan came here illegally, but he's waiting for his hearing, whatever. They had a big protest outside City Hall. These tents that they're going to set up 1 to 2 tent cities in each ward, and then keep them up to house the homeless once they're done. But this guy, they compared those tents to concentration camps.
Creo que todos merecemos respeto y todos somos personas.
And I believe that we all deserve respect because we're all people.
Somos seres humanos.
We are human beings.
No animales.
Not animals.
They don't like the conditions that are heading their way.
Call your shot. That's fine. Where do you want to stay? It's fine by me. Whatever. I mean, you're in charge. It's fine. Whatever you want. It's this. You come and go you come to this country and leave this country at your leisure. I mean, this is your deal. Who do
they think they are having protests? Come on,
please.
Protesting where they're living now.
You're going to feign outrage now.
I'm outraged at the whole Mexican Independence Day parade. That is not a parade. It is a riot. Friday night, a police officer, and I know you saw it, got his ear sliced. Mm-hmm. Another one hit by a 2x4. And then Saturday night, a 15-year-old stabbed and 19-year-old was stabbed. This all started in 2020 when Mayor Lightfoot took away the Mexican Independence Day parade because of COVID. And remember, you couldn't get into your condo because they took over. They had decided to have their own parade.
Yeah,
their parade is back, and they still terrorize residents and close down intersections and start dance parties and then start stabbing each other.
They're just
get it together. These bed-size sheet Mexican flags.
Yeah, right. I know. You can't believe what's happened to the city.
Well,
every day, every Monday you come in and you can't believe what's happened to the city.
It just got worse. Shut down the parade. A guy with a machete. Listen to this. He's walking around. This is the actual parade, not a riot that happened Friday night or Saturday night. This is at the gosh darn thing in Little Village. A guy wearing a Mexican wrestling mask and carrying around a machete.
I'm just walking. I got my head on. I got my machete. I'm doing the Mexican look. I'm doing the Mexican thing, bro. Come on. Hey, bro, I ain't doing nothing.
I'm doing the Mexican thing? Really? You have to see the video. Then he's attacking people with a machete. And then the police come and their guns are drawn. And families are just sitting there as if this is an everyday occurrence.
Because it is.
Yeah. That's a strange video. I'm going to tweet it out because it's.
Yeah.
You should see it.
Right. We can all express our shock and awe.
Cancel it. If the Swedes did this, they think nothing of canceling.
Right.
The parade.
And if I walk down Michigan Avenue in a sparkly G-string and nothing else,
I would tweet that
today.
out too.
Yeah. Well, I think I would probably be taken in, but you can have an entire city come to a halt when homosexuals do that for their pride thing. So, this is
nothing's as worse as a Mexican Independence Day parade weekend.
Yeah, this just
the gays don't shut down the
this just in. That's not the point. That's not the point. This just in. We just realized. Hey, I don't know if anybody's noticed this. In Chicago, there are different rules for different groups based on your politics. We got some breaking news for you. Big Blue America. where Americans finance people from the world over to come as they please, as is happening, where criminals, foreign domestic, are allowed to prey on you with impunity, where schools hide your kids and undermine your authority and push them out, ill-equipped to thrive, and you pay a premium for this to live in Chicago. And then, you want to continue to prattle on about how you're shocked by what's transpired. Every single day, every single weekend, there's something, all of a similar kind. I'm sorry if I can't join in the collective moral indignation. I find it tired, don't you? I find it lame. Roland in Arlington Heights.
Yeah, guys. I have a very original name for these food stores. Why don't you just say grocery store number 10 or grocery store number 18 like the Soviets?
Thanks for the call, Roland. It's good. It's like what they do in New York with the schools. PS 184, PS 182. Yeah, right. Just make it as bland and cookie cutter as possible because that's the Soviet world, isn't it? Eric in Douglasville, Georgia.
Good morning.
Morning.
I live in Douglasville, Georgia. Came down here 2 years ago from Chicago, Illinois. Couldn't be happier. And I think the store name should be Commies Are Us.
There you go. Thanks for the call, Eric. Rich, Indian Head Park.
Morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. I think it should be something simple for all the nomads in Chicago. Should be Chicago City Market.
Well, that doesn't quite capture the cultural times, does it? Perry and Niles.
Good morning, you two. Thanks for bringing this back because I was brainstorming, but I need a little more time. I got two here. I'm gonna save the best for last, in my opinion. Like an outlet mall for the mayor's office. You call these places fifth floor foods.
Mm-hmm.
Fifth floor foods. That's
and you got
not bad.
Yeah, you got an alliteration there, and you can start with the big F, and then you just put the end of each word all with one big F. All right.
Okay.
I got one more.
Thank you for the marketing on it too.
Yeah, he's not done. Dan.
Yeah. Well, I thought these through.
Yeah, obviously.
Like in the Western world, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and so that's represented here. It's called Squeaky Wheels, WHEELZ. So it's trendy.
Yeah, with the Z is nice. Yeah, it's a nice touch.
And then you got like the way they're going to take care of these places in about a month. You'll be pushing that cart down the aisle, and you'll get it. Oh, I get it. What do you think?
Not bad, Perry. Thank you for the call. We'll include that on the list that we're compiling to send to BLM Brandon. Marco, Romeoville.
Yeah, about the incident at the parade. I don't know what Amy's been, but that's been for the last decade, for the last 20 years. That always goes down.
Right.
Every year at
Well, then they should cancel it. It's a public safety issue. I mean, and then they take this. It's a whole 3-day event. It's ridiculousness.
Well, I mean,
God.
You have El Grito, and then you have the Mexican Independence Day. I mean, it doesn't.
No other group acts like that. The Puerto Ricans, they don't shut down downtown. They let people go to their jobs and to their houses, and you had to show an ID on Saturday night to even get to your job or to your condo.
What do you say, Marco, in Romeoville? Is that why you moved to Romeoville?
Yeah, I moved out of there 2005. I was always Chicago, but no, actually, Puerto Rican parade they did kill that one couple. I don't know, you remember?
No, I remember that.
Yeah, they shot
But
and
I'm
killed
saying
a
they
couple
did-
of people.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
that's
did.
that's something.
Dragged them out of their car and
Yeah, that's something.
shot them at point blank range. Yeah, that is something.
No
But I'm
diff-
saying they didn't
makes
take
no
their
difference.
parade downtown and shut off
Right.
major intersections.
Yeah, it's fine. The murder is murdering people is fine as long as you don't like shut down the city from Division to 18th and from
Lakeshore Drive to
Lakeshore
Halstead,
Drive to Halstead. Yeah, that's the
Remember, you had to get a hotel one year.
Yeah, I couldn't get back to my place. They pulled the bridges, and so I couldn't get back to my place, and it's ridiculous. Yeah, but I mean, I also recognize that this is the bet I made. Thanks for the call, Marco. This is why, and and thus the decision I made to
Yeah, you left soon
leave
after.
leave the city permanently. I had to leave the city that night. So I mean, but I'm not surprised by it. So when I had conversations with cops that night, I remember saying, I mean, really, this is what the city's come to, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, got it. So I mean,
Did you send them the bill? For
if
your
you
hotel stay?
I just like all of this like performative hand wringing. I mean, if that's cathartic, then fine, do that. Whatever keeps you on this side of sanity. But I'm just saying, come on, you're not really surprised. Nobody's really surprised. Something that happens every year, and something that approximately happens every weekend in the summer, at least. And we're all gonna do this performative. We're so surprised what's happening to our city routine. Come on. Let's not. 6:36, we're going to talk to Cully Stimpson from the Heritage Foundation about Biden Incorporated and this a brave new world in Illinois with no cash bail starting today, 6:36.
And later, why Americans are constipated. But now let's head into the news. Here is Mike Scott.
55 degrees, 631. Quite a rainstorm for parts of the area 24 hours ago. Flooding issues remain for parts of the south suburbs in northwest Indiana. 4 people, including 2 children, were found shot to death in Romeoville last night. 2 adults, 2 children, gunshot wounds. Investigators say they believe the incident occurred Sunday morning. Authorities say 4 of the 9 juveniles who escaped from detention at a center in Pennsylvania have been caught. Pennsylvania State Police announcing that the 4 were taken into custody early this morning around 5 a.m. our time. They had escaped from an academy around 8 p.m. Sunday following a riot. That academy is behind a fence and barbed wire. It is a juvenile detention center that also works as a school. About 12,700 members of the UAW remain on strike against the Detroit Big Three. Among the demands are better wages, a 4-day work week, job security, and better benefits. Fox Business's Jeff Flock is with strikers at a Chrysler plant in Ohio.
This is one of the 3 plants that has been struck. And this is where they make the Jeep Wranglers and the Gladiator. That's a pickup. These are some of the vehicles that are most profitable for the automakers, which is why they've struck here. More layoffs being announced by GM and Ford. That's because of the impact of the strike at their plants. One is a paint plant. They can't paint pieces of equipment for the vehicles, so they can't work.
When asked if they would expand the strike this week, UAW President Shawn Fain told CBS they're prepared to do what is necessary. The U.S. is swapping money and prisoners for 5 Americans detained in Iran, a $6 billion deal. Emmy Awards will not take place tonight. The 75th Annual Primetime Awards postponed until January 15 because of the ongoing writers and actors strike. Illinois, officially the first state in the nation to abolish cash bail. Lake County State's Attorney Eric Reinhart is in support of the measure.
This, in a much better way, allows us to calibrate the safety issues to connect with Kayla's point that it isn't one size fits all, but that actually we will be making safety-based decisions.
In other news, we're following the Bears lost to the Bucs in Tampa 27-17. They're 0-2. Kansas City is next. Police in Maywood are searching for a former NFL player after his mother was found dead. Authorities say Myrtle Brown and her son Sergio Brown were reported missing over the weekend. Sergio Brown attended Proviso East and then the University of Notre Dame before playing 7 seasons in the NFL. Chicago Symphony Orchestra says it's agreed to a 3-year contract with its musicians union, a deal to replace the agreement that expires Sunday. Cubs lost to the Diamondbacks 6-2. That's a 5-game losing streak. Pittsburgh tomorrow. White Sox manage just 6 hits in a 4-0 loss to the Twins. Connor Bedard gave Blackhawk fans a glimpse of the future during the NHL Prospect Showcase in St. Paul over the weekend. Bedard scoring a hattie against St. Louis, leading Chicago to a 5-0 win. The news, a service of the Pride Stores, with 17 locations throughout Chicagoland. Stop by their newest location, the Pride of Kane County, in St. Charles, Kirkin, Maine. Weekly grand opening specials, exciting raffles, the Pride stores, not your typical convenience stores. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says it's our right.
We have the right to decide whether we want Trump in the Oval Office or not. We have the ability and the right and the authority, the constitutional authority to make that determination, not Fannie Willis or Alvin Bragg or any one of the other George Soros prosecutors who are soft on crime.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second-generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old-school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest-growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Rick here from Forever Remodeling. You probably heard me talk about how our unique design-build process removes the normal problems of hiring a design and construction company separately. But just don't take my word for it. Listen to these customer reviews. Kelly W. says, from consultation to design to construction, my remodel flowed seamlessly. Adity J says, we were thrilled to have a full-service remodeling firm take all the guesswork out of our project. And Caesar V says, Forever Remodeling made what could have been a very stressful project extremely easy for us. They finished on time and did amazing work. Kitchens, bathrooms, basements, additions, whole house remodeling, whatever you need, our start-to-finish process delivers stunning results without the hassles, headaches, and stress. For a free consultation, call Forever Remodeling at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com.
Imagine you're on the couch in your living room and one of your kids or grandkids excitedly pulls on your arm, urging you to come play. But instead of feeling exhausted, you practically jump off the couch. To make sure you're keeping up with them, it's crucial to fuel your body with whole fruits and vegetables. Unfortunately, most people don't get enough of these nutritious foods. That's where Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies can help. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies provides your body with the additional nutrition it needs, helping you to embrace all of life's greatest moments with energy. Happy National Fruits and Veggies Month. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer today to receive $35 off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-2468-751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
6:39 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Blindster.com, offering over 50 different blind shades and shutters at low prices, custom made for your windows, shipping free. Order 10 free samples of any product before you buy. Blindster.com. Eden sits at 20 minutes Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy 38 O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now on the inbound side, 40 minutes 390 to the old post office. Stevenson 46 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan in an earlier stall has just been pulled out of your way near the Skyway, 21 minutes in, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Patchy fog in your forecast this morning. Otherwise, partly sunny and warmer, high 72. Tomorrow's 69. Wednesday, warmer, a high near 80. 54 at O'Hare. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The Safety Act 2.0, the Pritzker Purge Law, is in effect. Wonderbar. It is no cash bail in Illinois unless you can convince a judge that somebody presents a threat to the community.
The community and the victim, too, right?
You mentioned this attempted murder of a Chicago police officer on Saturday.
Oh, what just happened? Are we still on the air?
I don't know.
Oh, is this how it ends, Dan?
Let's just rolling blackouts now to save the planet. Apparently, we're starting in Elk Grove Village. So this attempted murder of a Chicago police officer on Saturday, struck with a 2x4, needed 30 stitches to reattach his ear.
Yeah.
The alleged batterer, $65,000 bond from the judge, so $6,500 to get out. It's interesting. Any bond at all. So that happened this weekend. You also had a 8-year veteran of the L.A. County Sheriff's Office ambushed and killed.
Right in front of their sheriff's office. And
Yeah.
he had just gotten engaged, and there's no reason. It's just like somebody did it for the joy of it.
Ryan Klinkenbrummer was his name. He was found in medical distress outside the station, taken to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. And then you had this video that's gone viral of a hit and run in Las Vegas. This is a retired police chief. He was the police chief of Bell, California. He's riding his bike in Vegas. These teens steal a car, 17-year-old. And they film themselves going on this rampage. It starts when they knock another car off the road, and then they see the cyclist ahead of them, this 64-year-old retired police chief.
6 a.m. This is his routine. He gets up early and bikes.
And this happened.
All right, go. Go. Keep it moving.
Knocking the car out of their way.
Stop talking bitch. Stop talking
Now they see the bicyclist.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Ready? Yeah. Hit his ass.
Speeding up. I wanted to gouge their eyeballs out when I saw that video. And his helmet went one way, his phone went another way. Dead at the scene. Awful.
Obviously, these guys didn't know that he was a retired police, but nonetheless, the situation in Big Blue City, America that we were talking about before the news. For more on this and other legal matters, please be joined by Cully Stimson, Senior Legal Fellow at the Heritage Foundation, former prosecutor and defense attorney, author of Rogue Prosecutors, How Radical Soros Lawyers Are Destroying America's Communities. Yeah, as we were just talking. Cully, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
So, this quote-unquote war on cops that Heather McDonald wrote about, again, I know that was probably not known. The 64-year-old was retired police, but the other cases, they certainly did. This war on police that Heather McDonald spoke about is still very much a thing in Big Blue City, America, where streets have been turned over to repeat violent offenders.
Yeah, her book is spot on, and it's still apropos, unfortunately. Of course, you saw the video in the New York Post of this elderly Jewish couple coming home.
Yep, the 80-year-old.
From a party. Yeah, and a guy dressed up in a ninja outfit comes up with a handgun and executes the elderly gentleman.
Yep.
And it's not a coincidence that that's in Alvin Bragg's city. He's a Soros bought and paid for rogue prosecutor. And yeah, there is a war on cops, but really there's a war on law and order. And the scourge of this rogue prosecutor movement is real. 27 of the 30 cities with the highest murder rates are blue cities with blue mayors, blue everything. And 14 of those 30 have Soros bought and paid for rogue prosecutors, which account for 70% of the murders in the top 30 murder cities. And so these are real numbers. These are real facts. And the irony of this movement is that it's killing the very people they pretend to care the most about, which is black men.
Well, how can we fight back? What can we do about it?
Well, first, don't vote for a Soros bought and paid for a rogue prosecutor. So you see somebody talking about the carceral state or reimagining prosecution or reforming the criminal justice system, which we're all for, but then they start listing about, no cash bail. Look how that worked out for in your city. Or don't prosecute violent juveniles as adults, which they should be. Or don't add sentencing enhancements like gun enhancements. These people are against guns because apparently they're bad and awful because these inanimate objects do it themselves. And then when they catch repeat violent offenders who are in possession of a gun, they don't jack them up and send them to prison. So it's all fluff talk, and it's getting people killed. You're seeing stores and big stores close, just leave parts of cities, including your city, which we've written about recently. I mean, organized crime and shoplifting by these thug groups is a $100 billion problem over the norm just this year. So this is a real problem.
Yeah, and the only way you're getting stores to come back to big cities like this story out of Atlanta, not sitting too well with some residents, of course not. The Walmart store that closed last year is going to reopen, but it's going to have an Atlanta Police Department substation inside the store. That's the only way they agreed to reopen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you see the largest mall in downtown San Francisco, Westfield's closing. Why? Because of their employee safety concerns and the fact they're getting robbed blind. And you see earnings call after Zach Smith and I, my co-author of Rogue Prosecutors, wrote in Fox News this last week, say, you know what? Shrink, which is a euphemism for theft, is a big problem. $500 million less in gross profits for one company. You see in Philadelphia, has Larry Krasner, the Soros bought and paid for rogue prosecutor, Wawa, which is like a 7-Eleven,
right,
leaving. They've all left downtown Philadelphia. Your town is a disaster. Chicago, we have a whole chapter dedicated to Kim Fox and how Tony Preckwinkle, the Iron Fist with the velvet glove, ushered her into office, primaried Anita Alvarez, who was a good, normal, law and order Democrat prosecutor, and then Kim Fox comes in and enacts her pro-criminal, anti-victim zealotry policies. In many of these offices like hers, there's 100% turnover. Why? Not only do they fire people who are real prosecutors, but people don't want to be a prosecutor if you have to act like a criminal defense attorney.
Well,
that's what's happening.
And this is it, too. I mean, the other thing that needs to be driven home is that you have this justice system that is driven by politics, not the rule of law. So, as you mentioned, we're opposed to guns and we want to get tough on gun crime, except if it's somebody that is part of a protected class that commits a crime with a gun. So when trying to combat gun crime runs into trying not to prosecute or incarcerate criminals, then, they have a problem. And, of course, they err on the side of non-prosecution and decarceration.
Yeah, it's not an error. It's a specific plan. They believe the entire criminal justice system is systemically racist, and the only way to change that is to so-called reverse engineer and fundamentally dismantle the system as we know it. So they just eviscerate the adversarial nature of the system. Look, we need good, hard-charging, creative criminal defense attorneys. We need good, hard-charging, ethical prosecutors. We need neutral, detached judges. Everyone needs to stay in their lane and do their job. But when you vote in prosecutors who wave their regal wand and refuse to prosecute all misdemeanors, water down felonies to misdemeanors, don't ask for any cash bail, don't add sentencing enhancements, don't send violent criminals who are juveniles to adult court, and don't add, don't do their job, you're going to have rising crime rates. And in every single city with a Soros bought and paid for rogue prosecutor, you have rising crime rates. And by the way, there's 2,300 DAs who are elected around the country. 74 of them are Soros bought and paid for, which accounts for 68% of the population of this country. And by the way, finally, a real prosecutor in cities like San Diego, they haven't seen a crime spike. Not before COVID, not during COVID, not after COVID. 551 murders in Philadelphia last year, 51 in San Diego. Real prosecutor in San Diego, rogue prosecutor in Philadelphia. And they're tied for the 7th largest cities in the country. You do the math.
Well, the other thing that happens, too, is as you mentioned in Illinois, but with the Pritzker Purge law, so you institutionalize what's happening in your big urban center statewide. So even if you don't have Soros prosecutors, you tie the hands of real prosecutors. So one of the leading opponents of the Pritzker Purge law has been a suburban prosecutor named Jim Glasgow, who's a Democrat.
Yep.
And he's the one who led the suit against it to argue that it was unconstitutional. Anyway, you're tying his hands, as he described in painstaking detail for months leading up to last year's gubernatorial election here and the legislative elections here. And so artificial timelines on how long you can hold someone in pretrial detention, even if you can get past a judge to hold them in pretrial detention before you must bring them to trial or release them on release them pending trial. These things are going to result in more people who are accused of serious violent offenses, often not for the first time, being on the streets. And as we've seen in Chicago and Cook County, when that happens, you have a lot of additional crimes that are committed and victims that pile up, all of which could have been prevented had you been able to keep repeat violent offenders in pretrial detention. So it seems to me that what we're going to be watching and seeing, and it's sort of a macabre business, but we don't have a choice. It's the law here. Is how long it takes for what Cook County did to itself to come to the collar counties, and how much punishment suburbanites around the country are willing to take when laws like this are enacted statewide, so that the big city drives the sort of culture in their communities as well, and how long those residents will tolerate it.
All excellent points. It's a double whammy. You have legislatures who are out of their mind, who simply don't live in the world of reality that prosecutors do. I mean, look at New York. New York passed a similar dumb law. They don't let judges. It's the only state, by the way, in the country that doesn't let a judge take into consideration the dangerousness of the person in front of them who is charged with a violent crime. So they can't look at their rap sheet. I mean, what are they supposed to look at? Their shoes? Their haircut? I mean, it's just retarded. Mm-hmm. It's really stupid. And, there are great Democrat elected DAs. They're law and order folks. This is not a blue or red state thing. This is not blue versus red or Republican versus Democrat or liberal versus conservative. This is law and order versus chaos. And that's the way our book is pitched. Features 8 cities with 8 particular rogue prosecutors. There's a whole chapter on Kim Fox. Starts with real crime stories that would not have happened but for these rogue policies. And one final point, and that is, we had the chief of police union chief in D.C. come to Heritage Foundation, where I work, to do a public panel on violent crime in D.C. And he said the way you could cut crime by 90% day one is if you find a felon in possession of a handgun, instead of taking them to the local court, the superior court, you take them to federal court, where I was a prosecutor, and charge him with 18 U.S.C. 922G, which is ex-felon in possession. That's a 5-year mandatory minimum. Same's true in Chicago. I have friends in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago. I have friends in the DA's office in Chicago. If every person who's an ex-felon, who's a felon, who's caught in possession of a handgun, and that's a lot of them, got sent to federal district court and charged 922G, and that's a slam dunk case, you would cut down crime immensely day one.
Yeah,
they're not willing to do it.
Well, right, because that would require Biden giving Garland the okay to okay that, and that's not going to happen because that runs afoul of this infrastructure that we're talking about and these financiers and just basically the ideology of this revolutionary party they're a part of.
Well, look, I mean, there's a book out there by Angela Davis. Don't buy it, but it's called "Are Prisons Obsolete?" Her answer is yes. Normal, everyday Americans is no. And they believe, and we talk about it extensively in our book, we quote them. They believe that sending people to prison today is the equivalent of sending somebody back to, quote, the plantation, unquote. Those are their words, not mine. And so there's an anti-prison, there's a prison abolitionist movement. And the prison abolitionist movement is what's driving this rogue prosecutor movement. And it's sick, it's disgusting, it's bizarre, but it's real. And we expose it for everything it's worth in our book, Rogue Prosecutors. And people need to pick it up and read it because they need to wake up, because your public safety privilege depends on who your DA is, period.
Cully Simpson, Senior Legal Fellow at Heritage Foundation, former prosecutor and defense attorney. The book, as he's been mentioning, Rogue Prosecutors, How Radical Soros Lawyers Are Destroying America's Communities. Cully Simpson, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful at lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question, and the owners of Relief Factor tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. That's right, designed to heal, and I agree with them. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, yes, 100% drug-free ingredients, each helping your body deal with inflammation. Each of the 4 ingredients deals with inflammation from a different metabolic pathway. That's right there, approaching from 4 different angles. May be why so many people find such wonderful relief. So if you have back pain, shoulder, neck, hip, knee, or foot pain from exercise or just getting older, you should order the 3-week quick start, discounted to only $19.95, to see if it will work for you. It has for about 70% of the 500,000 people who've tried it, and they've ordered more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, the number 4RELIEF, to find out about this offer. Feel the difference.
Hi, this is Steve. I'm in Italy, away from my business. But I'm not worried about the office or my absence from it. I'm confident because I've got Turnkey on my side. They've helped me solve several problems for my business, so I can finally relax for a bit while I let the business work. Not only did Turnkey help with my IT problems, their expert team gave me a custom consultation that found additional profit centers in my company. They've helped me focus on a new direction for my business. It's not easy to relax when you own a business, but with our partnership with Turnkey, I feel confident, resolved, and ready to deliver. Now, I'm going to relax, have a Peroni, and depend on the direction Turnkey has helped me embrace. They can help your business too. Visit turnkey.pro to start a conversation today. That's turnkey.pro.
The pros at Turnkey share your values. They know IT and they know small business. They're Chicagoland's small business champions. Visit turnkey.pro to book your appointment today. That's turnkey.pro.
Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk about that UAW strike and Bidenomics more generally with Scott the Cow Guy, Shellady, 707.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom for a look here in Chicago and around the world. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Amy and Dan, flooding rains hit the south suburbs. No cash bail begins today in Illinois. A suspect aims a gun at police and then is shot on the south side. State police investigating 2 crashes involving squad cars in Cook County over the weekend. Bears fall to the Bucks, Cubs get swept by the Diamondbacks, and White Sox blanked by the Twins. WIND Chicago News Time, 7.
It's a great day for 5 Americans. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. They're being set free now, ready to be flown out of Iran on a prisoner swap with the U.S. But Fox's Jonathan Savage reports there's more to it than that.
Around $6 billion of blocked Iranian funds were to be transferred from South Korea to banks in Qatar. Iran says this transfer has now taken place. The government in Tehran says 5 Iranians will also be released from prisons in the United States as part of the deal.
Republican Congressman Michael Waltz tells Fox he's happy for the Americans and their families, but
it frees up $6 billion of Iranian money for terrorism, for supporting Russia, and everything else and for the nuclear deal.
The Biden administration says the money can only be used for humanitarian purposes. Now, this is also breaking news right now. Hunter Biden is suing the IRS after 2 agents came out as whistleblowers claiming the president's son got preferential treatment in an IRS investigation that led to a tax evasion misdemeanor plea deal a judge rejected in July. Last week, Hunter Biden was indicted on a felony gun charge. The president is in New York City, and tomorrow will address world leaders at the UN General Assembly. Today, he'll have 2 re-election fundraisers. His biggest rival, former President Trump, defiant as ever on NBC's Meet the Press after his 4 criminal indictments.
These are corrupt people that I'm dealing with. They're destroying our country. I don't even think about it. All I think about is making the country great, making America great.
He remains the frontrunner by far in the 2024 Republican race. A manhunt that started last night in Pennsylvania is already over. 9 juveniles who broke out of a detention center in Morgantown captured, the first 4 just before 6 a.m.
Basically banged on the door. They were done. They were tired. They were cold. We went there, took them into custody.
State Trooper David Baim says a short time later they found the rest 4 caught in a stolen truck.
One took off in the field, taken into custody shortly thereafter.
America's listening to Fox News.
55 degrees, fog in spots this morning. 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Quite a rainstorm for parts of the area 24 hours ago. Up to 4.5 inches in Hammond, Hazel Crest over 4 inches. Plenty of flooding issues hitting Calumet City and other parts of the south suburbs and northwest Indiana and impacting your commute today. 4, including 2 children, were found shot to death in Romeoville. 2 adults and 2 children were found dead inside a home, the dwelling in the 500 block of Concord Avenue. Investigators tell us the incident occurred early Sunday morning. Illinois, officially the first state in the nation to abolish cash bail. Beginning today, cash bail will be eliminated for criminal defendants awaiting trial. Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell says they won't be releasing criminal defendants already behind bars right away. They have a process for that, but there are many other public safety and police morale concerns.
I really think that whenever I think the legislature sees a rise in the crime rates in Illinois, that maybe they'll go back and maybe repeal it, maybe work on reform that needs to happen.
The Illinois Supreme Court upheld the law passed only by progressives and Democrats in the General Assembly in July after 100 states' attorneys challenged it. Bears struggled to move the ball on offense in a 27-17 loss to the Bucs in Tampa. The 0-2 Bears take on Kansas City next Sunday. COPA is investigating following an armed thief running from police on Chicago's South Side.
Approximately 2:54 p.m., officers of the 7th District received information from the 7th District TAC team, received information concerning a stolen vehicle in the 7400 block of South Horn.
That's Interim Superintendent Fred Waller. The offender was chased by police, where he pointed a gun at officers. Only then did an officer draw their service weapon and shoot to disable the suspect, hitting him in the leg. The suspect is in good condition. Another officer was taken to the hospital for observation after the confrontation. And an investigation continues following a 14-year-old student who was fatally shot near Hillcrest High School after a homecoming football game Friday night against Oak Forest High School. The incident happened around 9 p.m. Cubs lost to the D-backs 6-2. Cubs have just a half-game lead over Cincinnati for the final NL wildcard spot after a weekend bust of a series. White Sox lost to the Twins 4-0. Sky wiped out of the WNBA playoffs with a loss to Vegas. The news service of the Pride stores stopped by their newest location, the Pride of Kane County, in St. Charles, corner of Kirk and Main, for weekly grand opening specials, exciting raffles, the Pride stores, not your typical convenience store. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka wants to know who these people are.
The Wall Street Journal said that of current voters, 46% would support President Trump today in an election, and 46% would support Joe Biden. Who on God's green earth is that 46% who's going to support Joe Biden? Are you mental patients? Is this one flew over the cuckoo's nest? Who are you?
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
You've heard me discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends. Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm telling you, I'll be 74 in May, and I can't tell you how good I feel. I'm telling you, have my sister on it and her husband and so many different people.
It's just what the advertisements say, which is you get more energy. It really is a balance that the body needs, because if you just take regular people's diet, there's no way that they get the amount of servings of vegetables and fruits that they need. And so what this does, it assures that you are getting that. It really is. It's a beautiful name, Balance of Nature. And I tell everybody about it. When you got other people recommending it, it's a big thing.
Happy National Fruits and Veggies Month. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer today to receive $35 off your first order. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:08. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Starcase, the most dependable road cases you can buy, designed and made right here in the Midwest. Go to starcase.com to order your case now. Eden's 27 minutes in, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy is an hour 4 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike at 49 into the old post office. Stevenson into Lakeshore Drive, 48 minutes from 355. Dan Ryan Express recovering from an earlier accident between 59th and the Stevenson. The Bishop Ford slows up between Sibley and 130th due to high standing water from the weekend rains. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Some patchy fog in the area this morning, otherwise a partly sunny day. High today 72, partly cloudy tonight and a low 56. Clouds and some rain tomorrow, the high 69, and then partly sunny Wednesday, the high 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
54 at O'Hare, next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So UAW had a walkout of 3 plants last week, of course, Ford and Stellantis. Sean Fain, who's the president of the United Auto Workers, wants 36% pay increases over 4 years. Wants to reduce the work week to 32 hours, so 4 days.
More money, less work. Okay, go on.
Overtime for additional hours, the restoration of retiree benefits, defined benefit pensions rather than 401k. I think the only entity that still has defined benefit pensions is the state of Illinois. Yeah. And COLAs, of course. The 3 automakers have countered with initial wage offers to wage increase offers between 17.5% and 20%.
That's very gracious.
Over 4 years. Plus one-time large payments, improved fringe benefits, including time off. But that ain't good enough. And
more.
Sean Fain has the big guy, Mr. 10%. Is he getting 10% on this deal, too? Mr. 10% in his corner, he took to the podium on Friday to, say that he agrees that workers of the world should unite.
Auto companies have seen record profits, including the last few years, because of the extraordinary skill and sacrifices of the UAW workers. But those record profits have not been shared fairly, in my view, with those workers. Just as the Treasury Department has released a report pointing out that the most comprehensive report ever dealing with how unions are good for both union workers and non-union workers.
Record profits should result in a record contract. Nobody wants a strike, but hey, how about a little something over here, for the effort?
No one wants a strike. Say it again. No one wants a strike. But I respect workers' right to use their options under the collective bargaining system. And I understand the workers' frustration. Over generations, auto workers sacrificed so much to keep the industry alive and strong, especially through the economic crisis and the pandemic. Workers deserve a fair share of the benefits they helped create for an enterprise. I do appreciate that the parties have been working round the clock. And when I first called them at the very first day of their negotiations, I said, please stay at the table as long as you can to try to work this out. And they've been around the clock, and the companies have made some significant offers. But I believe they should go further to ensure record corporate profits mean record contracts for the UAW. Let me say that again. Record corporate profits, which they have, should be shared by record contracts for the UAW.
One terrible industrial policy gambit begets another. After setting the distribution of vehicles to be produced through mandates, now it's time to set wages and benefits. I'm saying the federal government, the central planners, the big guy, Mr. 10%, the president. As the Wall Street Journal opined, this strike is made in Washington because of the Biden administration's policy mandating a rapid transition to EVs. This is actually a point that Trump made in his interview on Meet the Press over the weekend. The UAW knows that EVs require fewer workers to make and will jeopardize union jobs making gas-powered cars. The companies already lose money on EVs, worry about making too many concessions to the UAW that will cause them to lose even more as they're forced to build more EVs. Where are we at with those? The Biden administration is mandating EVs make up 2/3 of all auto sales by 2032.
It's just some random number, some random year.
2/3 by 2032,
well,
which
these
is
people are going to be replaced by robots.
Which is 8 years away. Right now, EVs make up less than 3% of sales. 2/3 by 2032. Right now, they're 3%. As the Wall Street Journal continued, Mr. Fain, the UAW president, May look like a hero to his members now as he fights the bosses in the C-suite, but if the result is less competitive companies, the ultimate losers will be those same members when their jobs disappear, and they should direct some of the blame at the misguided industrial policy of the man in the Oval Office. Indeed, they should. Bill Farley is the CEO of Ford, and
Is he related to Chris Farley? Have you seen him? He looks a lot like he's one of the crew there.
I
I
have
will
not
look
tracked
that
his
up.
ancestry.
Okay.
Bill Farley on CNBC giving Ford's perspective, the management perspective on what those demands would mean for the Ford Motor Company.
If we signed up for the UAW's request, instead of making money and distributing $75,000 in profit sharing in the last 10 years, we would have lost $15 billion and gone bankrupt by now. The average pay would be nearly $300,000 fully fringed for a 4-day work week. There is no way.
Per UAW
employee. Yeah. This is our fully tenured school teacher in the U.S. makes $66,000. Someone from the military or fireman makes mid-50,000. This is 4, 5 times, 6 times what they make. There's no way we can be sustainable as a company. That's why we put our proposal in 2 weeks ago to say, look, you want us to choose bankruptcy over supporting our workers? Here's our proposal. Let's work through this. We've heard nothing.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Scott the Cow Guy Shellady, market specialist for Market Day Report, 10:30 to 1 Chicago time, and the Cow Guy Close, host of the Cow Guy Close, 1 to 1:30 Chicago time, both RFD TV. Scott the Cow Guy, thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
UAW, is Sean Fain right? Is Bill Farley right? Is the big guy right? Is no one right?
I think Bill Farley does live in a Ford van down by the river. But I would say I would say whomever wrote the article in the Wall Street Journal is right. I mean, this is all due to the fact that this stems from Washington and the EV mandates. And you know, it's funny how they're just mandates, but all these car companies have rolled over and started making these vehicles at a loss. And as you say, only 3% of sales right now are electric vehicles. We've seen all the reports about how you can't charge cross-country. The whole idea is farcical. And we've also seen it try to eke into our military and our farming communities, which is almost impossible. But the government still wants to hold true to their mandate with 2/3 by 2032, and we've only got about 3 to 4% of it happening right now. I say that the numbers really boil down to this, guys. In Europe, China's already made headway undercutting all of the electric car vehicle makers to the tune of it costs on average $55,000 to make a car in Europe, and they're selling theirs for $20,000. So this is going to happen. We're going to have some competition unless we put up some barriers, which could be the case. I don't know, but I know that what they're worried about is it only takes 40% of the labor to make an electric car. The UAW is very well aware of that. And they know what's happening in Europe as far as these price pressures coming from China. So this is, and then on top of it, we've got an administration that's got its foot on the gas, trying to spend. At the same time, they've got the Fed trying to, they've got their foot on the brake. So they've been stoking inflation this entire time. This is just 100% at the feet of the, and I'm not trying to, give Biden, anything that's not his problem, but it is his problem. He stoked inflation. Inflation is his fault. This is the direct result of it. And then on top of it, when you throw in these mandates and foreign competition, it's a cauldron of a pretty sick mess.
Do you have any perspective on how you think that this gets resolved somewhere between what the automakers have offered and what the UAW is demanding, and then the automakers sort of just limp along and hope that the government will serve as a backstop for them, like the government does for the banks?
Well, do you know the history of the government with the automakers? I mean, remember in 2009?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Chrysler went cap in hand to Wall Street and the big investment firms, these hedge funds, looking for money, which was brokered by the Obama administration, and the hedge funds got what they wanted. They got very high interest rates on the money that they lent Chrysler, and they also were were given promises that they were going to be the first people paid back in the event if they did go bankrupt. So Wall Street and the hedge funds opened up their wallets and gave the money to Chrysler. Chrysler ultimately ended up going bankrupt, and then the Obama administration stepped back in and said, no, you know what, you're not getting paid back, and they gave all the money to the auto workers.
Wow. So how long do you think that this strike is going to last?
So I think it'll last. I don't know. It's going to cost about $5.5 billion every 10 days.
Ooh.
So I think, and that's for every 1,000 UAW jobs, there are 10,000 other jobs that are affected because of the people that make the leather seats, all the other things that go into these
stamping plants,
supply chains, right?
So it needs to be solved as soon as possible. However, the problem is, look, UPS got high contract, American Airlines got high contracts, the dock workers out on the West Coast all renegotiated very high contracts. So this is just another very inflationary curveball that's going to be coming down the pike when it comes to the economy. So this is going to make it very difficult for the Fed to have to manage, because all these people are getting, this is the wage price spiral, day one, page one, paragraph one. This money is going to hit the street. Inflation's going to be coming back, and as we saw already this month, it's reared its ugly head. So I tell you what, I would hate to be running for president on the back of the fact of this economy and these machinations.
Well, I want to get to inflation in just a second, but I just have one more question on this topic. It's a bit of a question of personal concern. So the Drew Barrymore show is suspended until the Hollywood strike is settled. And I just wonder if in solidarity with the writers and actors, I just wonder if you think that she will also suspend her show until the United Auto Workers strike is settled in solidarity with them. Because it impacts how my day goes.
I know, you and me both. I've had to go back to reading Harlequin novels. I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm watching reruns of Yellowstone.
It's no way to live.
No way to live.
I miss her so much, and her pithy insights into the human condition. That's what I'm saying.
Amazing. I don't know. Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I've never had anything this big happen to me before, so I've had to go actually read books again. So here we are.
That's terrible. The inflation matter, rearing its ugly head again. So does Jay Powell hike rates on Wednesday?
No, the general consensus is not. I mean, here's his problem. He's pegged himself to a couple of indicators, three, PPI, CPI, and this personal consumption expenditure, which is the PCE. And all of those are showing that inflation is coming back. The problem is that Rome is burning down around him, except for those figures. And so he's got himself in a quandary where if he wants to stick to his guns and get inflation down to that 2% target, which was arbitrary, by the way, then he would have to raise rates. But I think he's going to take a pass this time around. Inflation will get worse, and he'll have to do it in the next meeting, I think, which is November 1st. But on Wednesday,
he's just going to say, "I'm mad at inflation," and
right.
inflation better behave, or I'm going to come back in next month or in November and do something about it.
Well, he won't use the word mad. He'll say, "I'm just really cross."
I'm cross with inflation. Right. He doesn't want to ruin the relationship. Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, you got to choose your words carefully. Inflation sensitive. I mean, I get it. Okay. This is it's wonderful to have such serious policymakers in positions where they can have such impact on, people's lives and household incomes and home prices and car notes and so forth.
The whole thing boils down to one thing. We've just got a bunch of people that are really amoral running the country. I mean, the idea that somebody else can pay off your student loans, we're not going to have a border, we're going to take money away from the police, to people, whomever uses what bathroom, down the line, number one, there are no policies that are actually working, and number two, everything stems from this amoral position where they're just continually trying to, downgrade and degrade the American citizen.
He is Scott the Cow Guy, Shelley, market specialist, market day report, 10:30 to 1. The Cow Guy closed 1 to 1:30, both at RFD TV. Scott the Cow Guy, thanks as always.
Have a good week, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hun, we need to stop putting off getting life insurance.
I know. It's just been so busy, and I'm sure the cost is out of our budget.
Well, Jen told me that they got a $500,000 term life insurance policy from Ethos for less than $23 a month. all online with no complicated forms and no medical exam. All they had to do was answer a few health questions.
Wait, no medical exam and all online?
I know, right? It's not easy to think about, but if something happened to you, James and I would be...
Okay, I get it. Let's get a quote from Ethos right now.
Wow, you were right. There's no medical exam. And Ethos makes the whole online process fast and easy. And look at these rates and coverage options. It's great protection and totally fits our budget.
Ethos. They've removed all the barriers from getting coverage. Go to checkethos.com to get your free online quote. That's checkethos.com. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 30-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
Do you smell it when you walk in the door? That mold, the humidity? Well, guess what? The air from your basement or crawl space will permeate up into your living space. And do you know that the air in your home can be up to 5 times more polluted than the air outside? Well, guess what? Our good friends at Permaseal can help with that. They have a dehumidification air purifier system all in one unit. It controls the humidity and cleans the air. It prevents the increase of mold spores and removes them. It removes airborne dust particles, allergens, and bacteria. And guess what? You can save a lot of money, too. You can save up to $189 a year in electricity costs over store-bought portables. In the warmer months, dehumidifiers seriously help your AC run more efficiently, saving you money. Call them, ask them, too, about their crawl space encapsulation service and clean space basement. It will eliminate moisture, harmful allergens, and gases. So give Permaseal a call today to schedule your free estimate, 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
Hey there, Charlie Kirk here. You've probably been hearing my colleagues and I talking about investing with Why Refi for a while now. You may have some questions, so let's review. It's true, you can earn up to 10.25% fixed rate of return that's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. You could turn your income on or off, compound it whatever you choose, and there are absolutely no fees. There's no attack on principal if you ever need your money back, and you'll get your monthly statement with no surprises. Just go to investwhyrefi.com. That's invest the letter Y and then REFY.com, or call 888-YREFY24. Folks, this is a solid investment that actually helps people. Just go to investwhyrefi.com. That's invest the letter Y and then REFY.com, or call 888-YREFY24 and tell them that Charlie Kirk sent you. So call 888-YREFY24. Solid investment. It really helps people. Call 888-YREFY24 and tell them that Charlie Kirk sent you.
It's that time of year again. Time for the Northridge Prep Fall Open House. Northridge Prep High School, great place to be, 6 through 12, great junior high through high school. It's a great place to be a boy at Northridge Prep. What does that mean? In short, it's thanks to a foundation of an all-boys environment that builds your son up into a man of intellect and character who loves God. The teachers and faculty members become mentors to students, that is, and when you combine that with an atmosphere that's fun, competitive, and challenging, it creates an exceptional experience for your son. And the result is the boys love Northridge Prep. They've been educating boys for nearly 50 years. One of the things that stands out to me is their commitment to partnering with parents. They respect parental authority. Now, you hear this with a lot of schools, but at Northridge, the parents can't stop talking about it because it's true. They've built a community that really works together. Raising kids is challenging these days, and at Northridge, you can be confident your son's on the right path. Their open house is Sunday, October 22nd. That's Sunday, October 22nd. Boys in grades 6 through 12. Register today at northridgeprep.org. Again, Sunday, October 22nd, the fall open house for Northridge Prep, and you can register at northridgeprep.org.
Have you saved enough? What are you going to do with Social Security? What will your taxes look like in retirement? Scott Tucker believes retirement planning should be easy, and you should be able to get all the information you need in one place. That's why Scott created the Retirement Decoded Toolkit, a comprehensive resource for your retirement. In it, you'll find a copy of his latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? This book will provide insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. To get your free Retirement Decoded Toolkit, text KIT, K-I-T, to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Now, in addition to the book, you'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. Get your Retirement Decoded Toolkit from Scott Tucker right now by texting KIT to 847-474-3888 or go to retirementdecoded.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. A registered investment advisor, this is a paid placement.
Do you really want to take shots the rest of your life just to lose weight? NJ Diet's typical results are twice as fast as weight loss injections without any of the side effects. Plus, you learn proper portion control and develop healthy eating habits for the rest of your life. By the end of NJ Diet's 40-day program, you will lose 20 to 40 plus pounds, contractually guaranteed. You will lose the weight and keep it off the natural way. NJ Diet uses your hair, saliva, and blood work along with scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone. Then, NJ Diet uses your DNA info to help you keep the weight off. Locations locally in Skokie and Oakbrook or available with live online video consultations. Don't take shots the rest of your life. Lose weight quickly the natural way with NJ Diet. Call 855-5-NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
All right, this just in, Pure Talk just added more 5G data to every plan and is now including a mobile hotspot with no price increase at all whatsoever. Just $20 a month for unlimited talk, unlimited text, and now 50% more 5G data, plus you get mobile hotspot. Start saving today. Go to puretalk.com, enter the promo code Sean, S-E-A-N, to make the switch to Pure Talk, and you do it now, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. That's puretalk.com, promo code Sean.
Liberty Mutual presents How to Be the Life of the Party.
Okay, first turn the music off. Then ask for everyone's attention. Now, tell them that you customized your home insurance with Liberty Mutual and saved hundreds. Boom! Now everyone knows you're not just a pretty face. You have some brains inside that face that know how to save hundreds on home insurance. Woo!
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com. Based on recent survey of new customers who switched and saved. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, who is more committed to Maoism, Jelly Belly or BLM Brandon? It's really a close call. You're going to have to make it because I can't really discern. You got the city-owned grocery stores coming online entitled Gimme Dat. That's the name of the chain. I believe that will be. But you got $8 billion in subsidy for Chicom electric vehicle battery maker. And by extension, $8 billion in subsidies to the Chinese Communist Party. That's a close call. 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Little fog this morning, 55 degrees at 7:33. Quite a rainstorm for the area about 24 hours ago. Still flooding issues hitting Calumet City and other parts of the south suburbs and northwest Indiana. 4 people, including 2 children, were found shot to death overnight in Romeoville. Police say they were sent to the 500 block of Concord Avenue around 8:43. 2 adults and 2 children again were found inside the dwelling with gunshot wounds. State police say 9 juveniles who escaped from a detention center in Pennsylvania and remained at large for less than a day are in custody this morning. The U.S. is swapping money and prisoners for 5 Americans detained in Iran.
The Americans include Siamak Namazi, imprisoned for nearly 8 years, and Damad Shargi and Murad Tabaz. The 2 other Americans haven't been identified.
The deal, expected to be completed today, will give Tehran access to $6 billion in oil revenue the U.S. had frozen. Authorities in Southern California looking for suspects after a Los Angeles County sheriff's deputy was ambushed, killed in an assassination.
Together, we can ensure that the suspect responsible for this senseless shooting is held accountable for their actions.
Sheriff Robert Luna saying a $250,000 reward is now being offered for information leading to an arrest tied to the shooting and killing of Ryan Klinkenbroomer, who was on duty Saturday when he was fatally shot in the head. UAW President Shawn Fain says there's not much progress in talks with the Big 3 automakers.
It's a shame that the companies didn't take our advice and get down to business from the beginning of bargaining back in mid-July.
Speaking Sunday, Fain adding the fight is about CEOs making millions, he said, quote, off the backs, end quote, of low-paid workers. Illinois officially the first state in the nation to abolish cash bail beginning today. Cash bail will be eliminated for criminal defendants awaiting trial. Change part of the controversial Safety Act. Bears struggled to move the ball at all on offense in a 27-17 loss to the Bucs and Tampa Bay. Police in Maywood are searching for a former NFL player after his mother was found dead. Authorities say Myrtle Brown and her son Sergio were reported missing over the weekend. Officers later discovered Myrtle dead in a creek behind her Maywood home. Sergio Brown attended Proviso East High School and the University of Notre Dame before playing 7 seasons in the NFL. State police are investigating 2 crashes involving state trooper vehicles here in Cook County. A man driving a Toyota Camry early Thursday struck a trooper's squad car on the shoulder of the Stevenson near LaGrange Road. And on Friday night, a Jeep struck a parked squad car on the ramp from the inbound Kennedy to Washington. No one was hurt in either crash, but the driver of the Jeep has now been cited for a violation of Scots law. Cubs are on a 5-game losing skid following a 6-2 loss to the Diamondbacks. Twins beat the White Sox 4-0. 7:36. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees big changes to once great institutions.
The ACLU, the SPLC, the ADL, these are formerly civil rights groups. These are groups that used to fight for decency and goodness and free speech. And they don't believe in any of that stuff anymore. No, it's all about waging war on, quote-unquote, the neo-fascist right.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, folks. Dennis Prager here. You've probably been hearing my colleagues and me talking about investing with YRefi for a while now. You may have some questions, so let's review. It's true. You can earn up to a 10.25% fixed rate of return that is not correlated to the stock market or the Fed. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose, and there are absolutely no fees. There is no attack on principal if you ever need your money back, and you'll get your monthly statement with no surprises. Just go to investYRefi.com. That's invest, the letter Y, then refi, REFY.com. Or call 888-YRefi24. Folks, this is a solid investment that actually helps people. Just go to investYRefi.com or call 888-YRefi24 and tell them Dennis Prager sent you.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I feel better. I look better. I have more energy, everything. And I'm 60 years old.
Oh my gosh, you need to share every bit of the success. I'm in love with them, and I'm going to keep on taking them until the end of time because my body clearly is doing something with Balance of Nature. I mean, my skin looks good, and I've got energy, and I walk, talk fast, and you can see that I'm up with these fruit and vegetables.
Happy National Fruits and Veggies Month. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer today to receive $35 off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:38. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Townstone Financial. Need to pay off credit. It's actually a service of Health Insurance Mentors. Are you 65 or older thinking about Medicare? Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Call Stephen Tucker today. Free Medicare advice. Visit healthinsurancementors.com or call 630-674-1551, 630-674-1551. Eden's 35, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy is at an hour 20. O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange, while the Ike is at 47. In from Manheim to the old post office. Stevenson, 65 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Inbound Dan Ryan, it's a full half hour, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. They've closed an exit ramp on the inbound Bishop Ford at 130th because of high standing water and flooding. Jane Addams westbound, right lane blocked with debris after Barrington Road. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Patchy fog this morning, otherwise partly sunny and warmer, high 72. 54 at O'Hare. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by ServPro, the #1 choice in cleanup and restoration. Visit servpro.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy.
Wait, I have a quick announcement.
Oh, okay, please.
Many of you have been asking about Freedom Summit, and we're excited to announce that tickets are now on sale for Freedom Summit 2023. It's happening on Saturday, November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. And this year, ready? Freedom Summit will be headlined by Senator Rand Paul and by Judge Jean Pirro from Fox News. Pirro. It's a full day of keynote speeches.
Wait, who was the first one before Pirro?
Senator Rand Paul.
Oh, Rand Paul. I like
yes,
Rand Paul.
It's a full day of keynote speeches, book signings, breakout sessions, and much more. Now, if you haven't been to Freedom Summit, then you need to join us this year. And if you're a Freedom Summit veteran, we would love to have you join us again. The event sells out every year, so do not wait to get your tickets. Go to freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. We have tickets available at several different price points to fit your budget. So get your tickets now and make plans to join us at Freedom Summit Chicago 2023 on Saturday, November 11th. freedomsummitchicago.com.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm
so excited.
Can't wait.
I watch the 5 religiously, so I might be a little
Who's on the 5?
Starstruck. Oh, Dana Perino, Greg Gutfield, Jesse Waters,
Well,
and then Jessica Tarloff on and off with other Democrats.
No, I mean, who's on the 5 that's coming?
Oh, Judge Jean Pirro.
Oh, Pirro's on the 5?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
She's a little firecracker.
That show's unwatchable.
Oh, please.
As most of them are on the cable news, I have to say. Sorry.
It's pedestrian for you. You're not as excited as I am.
Nah, I mean, I can't fake cheerlead for things that I don't like. I just can't do it.
Yeah, we know.
I can't bring myself to do it. Anyway, but I can bring myself to cheerlead for this competition to see who is the more committed Maoist between BLM Brandon and Governor Spalding. This is fun. So we spent a lot of time doing our part to aid and abet the development of these city-owned grocery stores that BLM Brandon's going to roll out. They're going to be called Gimme Dat. So look for those in a neighborhood near you. Meanwhile, and we brought this to you last week, but our friend Mark Glennon over at WirePoints has provided a more detailed drill down that's helpful. The location of the Goshen EV battery manufacturing plant in Manteno, Illinois. Wonderful news because jobs, right? Yeah. Well, why is the combination of the state and federal government giving Goshen $8 billion in subsidies to build a $2 billion plant in Manteno? Seems like it's maybe difficult to get an ROI on that, but who am I? I'm not a dissing intellect and a tech entrepreneur like Governor Jellybelly. Two members of the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party which includes Darren LaHood from Peoria and is chaired by Mike Gallagher from Wisconsin. We're talking about a very similar plant, battery production plant in Michigan. And they raised these issues about Goshen, which is to locate in Manteno. And the state of Illinois is providing more than $500 million in subsidies, with the federal government, John Podesta and Company, poised to provide the rest because, all hands on deck to turn everything to eliminate the combustion engine effectively. So here's what the letter documents the connections between Goshen and the Chinese Communist Party. Goshen is a People's Republic of China company that has direct ties to the CCP. A program the FBI says encourages theft of trade secrets and economic espionage. Goshen has established multiple Communist Party units within its operations and has publicly sought PRC provincial government support for its desire to expand operations overseas. Even when courting major Western investment, Goshen has been adamant about retaining PRC-based control, including requiring that Volkswagen give up part of its voting rights, despite Volkswagen acquiring 25% of the company. The letter goes on to say it's perplexing that the U.S. government and state governments, like Illinois, I would add, would perpetuate China's domination of key technology by actively supporting CCP-backed companies expanding their foothold in the U.S. market, especially in the crucial sector of lithium-ion battery manufacturing. And I would say especially given what we know about the lithium deposits in the Pacific Northwest that we discovered recently. Glennon, over at wirepoints.org, goes on to say, equally perplexing is the size of the subsidies. Goshen is qualified to receive $7.5 billion of federal tax credits over 5 years, in addition to $536 million of incentives from the state of Illinois, which is expected to employ 2,600 workers. So you're getting $8 billion for a factory that costs $2 billion. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Our friend Zach Model, who's in the manufacturing sector and is the chairman of Coalition for Prosperous America, who is sort of anti this rent seeking, particularly as it pertains to, I don't know, non-American countries who also happen to be un-American, if you know what I mean, like doing the bidding of the Chinese Communist Party. He writes, it's unconscionable the state of Illinois would contribute $500 million and the federal government an additional $7.5 billion to construct a project that will cost a fraction of that, and to give that money to a Chinese company that's already subsidized by the Chinese government is a serious mistake. Talk about an understatement. China's goal is to dominate the global battery industry, and forcing American taxpayers to unwittingly fund the CCP's ambition is a direct threat to U.S. economic and national security. But this seems to me one of those instances where Marx might have been onto something with his assessment of the West, which is that we will sell them the rope that that is used to hang them. We will purchase, essentially, we will be active participants in our own demise. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. For 2,600 jobs, we're going to shovel out $500 million to advance the interests of the Chinese Communist Party. This
Well, what's
just
in it for the big guy?
This just in. The
Our
Chinese
big guy.
Communist Party is an adversary, and I don't mean in the sense that like the Bears and Packers are adversaries. I mean in the sense of like they want to diminish America, and we probably shouldn't be aiding and abetting that diminishment. Should we? Is this complicated? Why doesn't this get any attention? Because anything that results in 2,600 jobs in exurban Illinois is by definition a good thing. You don't need to look at any of the details. I thought we were talking. I thought that the play is to protect and advance the interests of the American manufacturer. What about all these small shops in the industrial park at Elk Grove Village and the ring suburbs in Chicago? I thought we wanted to, and then the politicians just say they're always talking about how we're going to revitalize manufacturing in America because, this would be a force multiplier for Illinois because of our manufacturing base, because of the centrality of our location, because of the logistics companies we have set up, because of the transportation infrastructure that, of course, is rotting and crumbling because of the mismanagement of the Maoists in charge of our state, as they're following the model of the Maoists in charge of the Chinese Communist Party in their state.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
I'm glad at least some members of Congress are paying attention to this, taking an interest in exactly what Goshen is doing and at what cost and what the implications are, since it doesn't seem that anybody interested in public office in Illinois is actually interested in it. Ruben in Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning.
Hey.
A little while ago, Amy asked about Farley.
Yeah.
He's a cousin of Chris Farley. He used to work for Lexus, and Ford picked him up a few years back, maybe 8 to 10 years ago, I can't recall.
All right.
They look alike and their
related.
voices
Yeah,
sounded
for sure.
similar. Okay.
Thanks for the call. Yeah, all right. So, and he soon will be living in a Van Dyne by the river and having to work as a motivational speaker if the UAW gets its
First
way.
cousins, yes, yes, yes.
Fran in Aurora, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan and Amy. Love your show. I've been watching this Chinese move into the United States since 2013. And I've been watching the hearings of the House Select Committee on the CCP. And you mentioned Mike Gallagher from Wisconsin being the chairman, but you didn't mention the fact that Raj Krishnamurthy from the 8th Illinois Congressional District is the ranking member.
I forget he's in Congress.
Yeah. Well, if you watch these hearings in a bipartisan way, everybody's hair is on fire about this. I don't understand why Raj can't have this conversation with Pritzker. So if Raj is so upset, maybe he should sit down with his own governor and say, whoa, stop. Either that or Raj ought to resign as ranking member of that committee. It's crazy.
Thanks for the call, Fran. By the way, CFIUS in the Treasury Department does have some say on this, these deals, but I mean that requires active oversight. An interest in acting independently of the powers that be. I'm talking about John Podesta and J.B. Pritzker. Darren LaHood did issue a statement on this. I mentioned he's on that Chinese Communist Party special committee that John Gallagher from Wisconsin chairs. Darren LaHood, I have serious concerns about Governor Pritzker and the Biden administration's active support for CCP-backed companies looking to expand their foothold in our economy. While I support incentives and improvements to our business climate, I don't believe taxpayers should be on the hook for billions in subsidies funneling to companies beholden to the Chinese Communist Party. Yeah. I mean, it would seem like most reasonable people, which excludes most of those in public office, could bring themselves to that obvious conclusion. Steve in Deerfield, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. So last week I heard you blasting the Biden administration for high oil prices and gasoline prices. But what you're neglecting to mention here is that oil prices and gas prices are really set by OPEC and by Russia, and they're controlled overseas. It's a world market. So if you want to permanently evade their ability to set their production schedules and manipulate the price of oil on the high side, you have to promote EV technology and EV cars here in the United States and elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Stop
No,
drinking.
no, I don't. I don't have to promote anything. And you use the word promote when what you're really saying is subsidize. And I'm an opponent of industrial policy in every which direction, including any subsidies for oil companies, which are de minimis. But that's what you're saying is not true because, as you know, we had achieved energy independence in the previous administration because we accessed our own resources to power this $20 trillion economy we have. Now you have industrial policy central planners, Maoists, if you will, that think they can, go from 3% today to 2/3 of the automotive market, the automobile market in this country, just by executive fiat because they deem it so, and we can turn over our economy and run it on switchgrass and windmills. Well, that is a bunch of bull jive. So I'm not supporting I'm not supporting or opposing anything because I'm not in the position, and I don't want the government to be in the position to direct this. I want competition in energy. So sure, innovate in the EV market, innovate in the windmill market, and every other renewable energy. That's fine, but don't have central planners telling me and telling us what we have to do to get to their arbitrary and capricious goals for their vision of how the American economy is going to be remade in their image. Go ahead.
Could I respond? Yeah, thank you. I don't remember you blasting the Wisconsin governor and President Trump when Foxconn, a Chinese company, announced it was locating huge facilities to Wisconsin.
I did.
And there were huge subsidies being given to Foxconn.
I did blast that. I did oppose that.
Okay, well, at least you were consistent there.
Yes, I am.
Well, look, it's all well and good to say markets should govern, but markets are inefficient. Okay.
But government is the ultimate arbiter of efficiency and the ultimate model for efficiency. You can't just say markets are inefficient. You have to tell me what the alternative is, and your alternative is industrial policy central planners, and they're more efficient than the free exchange of goods and services. That hasn't been my observed experience.
If the government, I'll go back to about 40 years ago, make it simple. If the government had not mandated seatbelts, shoulder harnesses, airbags, the auto companies would have had no incentive to do it, and many hundreds of thousands of people would be dead or undead.
I tell you,
the government had not mandated.
That's not true. That's not true.
The government had not mandated it. Well, it is true. The government.
It is not true.
I don't know why you have this.
It is not true. Yeah. This is cherry picking because it's just what you're saying about the magic. How private vice becomes public virtue, and once you get into governments, you're these omniscient beings, and you're not. You're not even close. Thanks for the call, Stephen Deerfield. Look. I'm glad you brought this up about the Ralph Nader. Thank you, Ralph Nader, for making our cars safer. You know what incentive the automakers have to make their cars safer? That dead people don't buy as many cars as live people. This just in. Simple, commonsensical things about incentives. And so actually, Thomas Sowell, in that interview I mentioned with Peter Robinson earlier in the show about his new book, Social Justice Fallacies, go watch it because he tackles this very thing, and he tackles it in his book too. This is cherry picking when we start looking at data. In point of fact, a decade before Ralph Nader wrote his book, automakers were already making changes, and the safety of automobiles and the reduced incidence of fatalities and crashes had been improving significantly before Nader ever wrote his book. But if you just cherry pick and you say Ralph Nader writes a book, then the automakers make changes and he saves, untold number of lives. That's not how it went down because you're cherry picking the time frame in which you're examining the particular issue. And this is what you have to do in order to make the argument that government is this great exemplar of efficiency. And they know 535 people in Congress know how to distribute the resources among 330 million people. They know how to turn the levers and pull turn the knobs and pull the levers to most efficiently run a $20 trillion economy that involves transactions between these 330 million people called Americans and the other 7.5 billion people around the world. Talk about folly. Talk about folly. All right.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll switch gears and talk to Yinhem Cohen. He's the Consul General of Israel, 808.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Flooding rains hit the south suburbs yesterday. No cash bail begins today in Illinois. The suspect aims a gun at police, then is shot on the south side. Bears fall to the Bucks, and the Cubs get swept by the D-backs, while the White Sox are blanked by the Twins. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Hunter Biden is suing the IRS. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The president's son claims IRS agents turned whistleblowers targeted and tried to embarrass him in an investigation that led to a tax evasion misdemeanor plea deal that a judge rejected in July.
The court filing reads in part, Mr. Biden has no fewer or lesser rights than any other American citizen, and no government agency or government agent has free rein to violate his rights simply because of who he is. The lawsuit further states the IRS whistleblowers engaged in a campaign to publicly smear Mr. Biden.
That's Fox's Ryan Schmelz. Last week, Hunter Biden was indicted on felony gun charges. 5 Americans have just been set free from Iran, now flying to Qatar. The U.S. said they were wrongfully detained and are being swapped for 5 Iranians jailed here.
We were told that the Iranians that we are giving back were mostly arrested or facing crimes that have to do with sanctions violations, that these were not violent individuals.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the UN in New York, where President Biden and world leaders are gathering. He'll address them tomorrow. That deal includes the unfreezing of $6 billion in Iranian money the U.S. says can only be used for humanitarian purposes. Republicans dispute that. And Congressman Mike Waltz tells Fox it gives Iran and our enemies incentive to detain Americans.
This is the beginning of the next round of hostages.
9 juveniles who broke out of a detention center last night in Morgantown, Pennsylvania, were captured early this morning. They fled during a riot at the facility. 4 turned themselves in around 6 a.m. The others were caught after stealing a truck. The manhunt continues in California for whoever killed a Los Angeles sheriff's deputy. Ryan Klinkenbroomer was shot in his patrol car Saturday.
He had so much ahead of him. And this coward or cowards took his life while he's sitting at a red light.
L.A. County Sheriff Robert Luna, there is a $250,000 reward. America's listening to Fox News. 53 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Quite a rainstorm for parts of the area 24 hours ago. Up to 4.5 inches of rain fell across the south suburbs and northwest Indiana. Flooding issues remain today. 4 people, including 2 kids, were found shot to death in Romeoville Sunday night around 8:45. Investigators say they believe the incident occurred early on Sunday morning. Illinois, officially now the first state in the nation to abolish cash bail. Lake County State's Attorney Eric Reinhart was one of the few who supported the move.
This, in a much better way, allows us to calibrate the safety issues, to connect with Kayla's point that it isn't one size fits all, but that actually we will be making safety-based decisions.
The Illinois Supreme Court upheld the law passed only by progressives and Democrats in the General Assembly in July after 100 states' attorneys challenged it. No one in custody after a teen and a man were stabbed, part of the Mexican Independence Day celebration in Chicago. Meantime, an adult and teen accused of attacking Chicago police officers in Little Village Saturday morning are now facing felony charges after attacking the officers with what looks to be a 2x4. Cubs are on a 5-game losing skid following a 6-2 loss to the Diamondbacks in Arizona. White Sox managed just 6 hits in a 4-0 loss to the Twins at guaranteed rate. Sky playoff run done. They were bounced out by Vegas 92-70. The news service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Grocery delivery company Instacart is expected to price its stock launch tonight and start trading tomorrow on the NASDAQ. The company's corporate name is Maple Bear. It's based in San Francisco. Instacart now is in more than 80,000 store locations. Saudi Arabia could be getting a Tesla factory. The Wall Street Journal says discussions are underway, and the Saudis are working with the Democratic Republic of Congo to supply metals and minerals needed to make electric vehicles. Shares of a couple of tech companies are losing ground after disappointing comments from Wall Street analysts. William Blair analysts say the next year for Dropbox appears lackluster, and SVB Moffett analysts also use lackluster to describe the upcoming profit for PayPal. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains big government.
My old phrase, the bigger the government, the smaller the citizen, is one of the truisms of the human condition. All the genocides of the 20th century, the most genocidal century in human history, were committed by big governments. But there's nothing good about big government.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Owning an aircraft doesn't need to be a hassle. Turn to Pearl Master Aviation, a premier aviation company owned and operated by Bob Allegro, a leader in the industry with over 50 years of experience. Pearl Master Aviation believes that safety, quality, and reliability come first. They have the capability to offer you or your company a wide range of services, such as aircraft management, charter services, maintenance, crews, and support. If you're looking to acquire an aircraft, they can negotiate the best deal for you, new or used. If you're looking to sell, they can get you top dollar. Pearl Master Aviation takes pride in the ability to deliver expert solutions that optimize efficiency, minimize costs, and guarantee your satisfaction. Providing care and maintenance in state-of-the-art facilities ensure the best possible service. For both personal and corporate aircraft, call Bob Allegro at 630-999-1600 or go to pearlmasteraviation.com.
Rick here from Forever Remodeling. You probably heard me talk about how our unique design-build process removes the normal problems of hiring a design and construction company separately. But just don't take my word for it. Listen to these customer reviews. Kelly W. says, "From consultation to design to construction, my remodel flowed seamlessly." Adity J says, "We were thrilled to have a full-service remodeling firm take all the guesswork out of our project." And Caesar V says, "Forever Remodeling made what could have been a very stressful project extremely easy for us. They finished on time and did amazing work." Kitchens, bathrooms, basements, additions, whole house remodeling, whatever you need, our start-to-finish process delivers stunning results without the hassles, headaches, and stress. For a free consultation, call Forever Remodeling at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com.
You've heard me discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, "I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends." Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
It is 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update, a service of the Barbecue Authority, your go-to for the largest selections of grills, smokers, and outdoor products, is the BBQ Authority. Visit the Lyle showroom or online at barbecueauthority.com. Eden's at a hefty 41 right now, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, 77 minutes from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. The ICAT, an hour and 4 minutes, 390 to the old post office. Stevenson, an hour 5 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Inbound Dan Ryan, 39 into the Burns Circle interchange. Again, the Bishop Ford troubled by high standing water, and the eastbound exit to 130th is closed due to major flooding there. Veterans Memorial Toll seeing big slowdowns northbound between 22nd and North Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Some fog in the area this morning, otherwise partial sun. Our high today 72. Tonight partly cloudy, low 56. Cloudy day tomorrow with a shower and the high 69. It'll be partly sunny Wednesday, the high near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
We're seeing some scattered rain showers crossing northwest Indiana right now, 54 officially at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897. Online at papanicholas.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the big guy, Mr. 10%, President Biden, scheduled to meet with Bibi in New York at UN General Assembly confab on Wednesday. National Security Advisor Jake from the State Department said that the two leaders would discuss a range of bilateral and regional issues focused on the shared democratic values between the United States and Israel, blah, 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 blah. What they should be discussing, and I hope that Bibi puts it to Biden in no uncertain terms, is, among other things, the Iran nuclear deal that the Biden administration still seems to want to forge,
but they haven't.
Ironically, against the backdrop of us paying, unfreezing billions of dollars in assets of enemies of the state, our state, America, in order to get a couple of hostages released last week. For more on this topic and others, we're pleased to be joined by Yenem Cohen. He's the Consul General of Israel to the Midwest. Consul General Cohen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
So what is really going to be on the agenda when Bibi and Biden have a confab?
I think there's going to be two major issues that would actually tackle one big opportunity that we have in the Middle East and one big challenge that's there in our region. The first one is the prospect to bring Saudi Arabia, probably the most important Arab country, into the Abraham Accords, into the circle of peace with Israel in the Middle East. The major challenge that they'll be discussing is how to counter Iran's malign activity, both regionally and globally.
And so give us perspective on the Abraham Accords that were negotiated under Trump. How impactful have they been on increasing peace and cooperation in the region?
Tremendously impactful. Just last week, we celebrated 3 years to the Abraham Accords that brought peace between Israel and some of the most important Arab countries in the region, with the United Arab Emirates, with Morocco, with Bahrain. This has really changed the face of the Middle East in the sense that it created peace not just between the governments, between the institutions, but also between the peoples of the Middle East, between the Jewish people in Israel and the peoples of these Arab countries. You see tourism boosting between Israel and these countries. You see a lot of innovation, cooperation, partnerships on high tech, on innovation, on energy boosting between us, and it is quite dramatic. And as I said, as we celebrate our third anniversary, we are hopeful that the upcoming ones would bring one more Arab country that is very important, and that's Saudi Arabia. That would be a true game changer. because Saudi Arabia has a major leadership role not only as an Arab country, but also as a Muslim country. It hosts two of the holiest sites for Muslims in the world, in Mecca and Medina, and that would mean a lot for peace in the Middle East.
Are you concerned at all about this prisoner swap where now $6 billion is also going to be released and given back to Iran?
I would say in general that what we think is that Iran does not only pose threat on Israel or on the moderate Arab countries in the Middle East, but also globally. Look at their support, for example, of the Russian aggressions against Ukraine. So we think that Iran is a global threat and it should be treated globally. And I think that usually concessions are not perceived by the Iranians as a source of strength.
What about the domestic threats in America to the relationship between America and Israel? Is that something? I mean, Bibi is not known to be one to mince words, which I like, and I hope he doesn't on this topic. I'm talking specifically about the what I call them the Socialist Spice Girl Caucus. I guess they're called the Squad by Nancy Pelosi. I'm talking about the Rashida Tlaibs, the AOCs, the Ilhan Omars, who consistently engage in anti-Semitic rhetoric, who consistently refer to Israel as an apartheid state. Any chance that Bibi may have something to say to the president about the behavior of a important part of his caucus, his party?
I think that in general, Prime Minister Netanyahu would try to have a very constructive discussion with President Biden. But let me say something about your question. I think that those who pretend to support peace between Israel and the Palestinians should support peace and not support something that is counterproductive to peace. Let's look at, just a very recent example. Last week, the American Congress voted on three major legislations regarding Iran to counter Iran, discussing, the breach of human rights in Iran, celebrating 1 year to the killing commemorating 1 year to the killing of Masha Amini in Iran. Some of the members of Congress that you mentioned voted against this legislation. Now, how can you, on one hand, pretend to support human rights, and on the other hand, oppose to legislation that is supposed to support human rights in Iran? This is not consistent for me.
Let's talk about 60 Minutes did a piece last night about civil unrest and, these protests that are happening every Saturday night for the last 8 months. What exactly is Benjamin Netanyahu trying to change in the Constitution, in your country's Constitution?
Something that is very unique for Israel is that while we celebrated our 75th anniversary this year, we still don't have a constitution, unlike many other countries in the world. It has to do with, the history of Israel, with the diversity of our population. But the fact is that we do not have a constitution. And what many Israelis feel is that over the years, our judicial branch has gained more power over the executive and legislative branches. So I believe that many Israelis do support some kind of reform for, to just make sure we have a better balance of power. At the same time, I think that many Israelis want to see this reform done through consensus, and that was the core of the discussion, the debate, the political debate in Israel between the government and the opposition. I do hope Prime Minister Netanyahu said he aims for consensus. Our opposition says that it aims for consensus, so I hope we'll see that in the upcoming future.
Mahmoud Abbas, the president of Palestine, made some comments about the Holocaust a few weeks ago that seemed to be sort of, I don't know if it was an unintentional or an intentional tell, but either way, it speaks to why peace is so difficult. It speaks to why the two-state solution is so difficult to advance. And I just wonder where that stands in the wake of those comments, because this, it's frustrating a merry-go-round we're on, where we in the West pretend that we forgot who some of these people are. We did that, going all the way back to Arafat. We forget who these people are. We pretend they don't believe what they believe. We pretend they haven't said what they've said until they remind us who they are like Abbas did a couple of weeks ago. And I wonder how that impacts the conversation, the level of seriousness of the conversation about accords between the Israelis and the Palestinians.
I think it has a dramatic impact, not only on the level of seriousness, but also on the level of trust of Israelis, about the possibility of having peace with the Palestinians. That was not the first time that President Abbas pronounced this way about the Holocaust, about Jews. He has quite a long history of that. And I have to tell you that while many Israelis are ready to make, very painful concessions for peace with the Palestinians, we need to make sure we have a partner on the other side. And right now, I'm not sure this is the case. And this is quite painful, I have to admit.
One other question about the West, too, the sort of military readiness of the West. We've had a lot of conversations about this in the context of assisting Ukraine in the war to repel the Russians. And there was this piece in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend about the reduction in combat air fleet size for the UK and so Britain and France and Germany and Italy. So, important NATO partners. The decline in the size of the air fleets of these Western nations, including our own, is substantial. Now, part of that is technology is better and so on and so forth. But what we're also seeing is that, for example, in Britain, the Brits are wavering on buying 138 F-35s. They're only going to do half that right now, in part because they have to pinch pennies to underwrite the welfare states that they've conferred, that they've built in the West, that we've built in the West, because of course America's done the same thing, to a slightly lesser extent. But the diminished military capacity of Western nations, of NATO nations, how concerning is that to Israel?
While I cannot comment on other countries' set of priorities, I think that Western democracies, if they want to remain democracies and if they want to counter other forces that are definitely not democracies, they have to have a credible power and credible reflection of power. And you get that by having, substantial military force. This is what we believe in Israel. We live in a very tough neighborhood, and this is why we need a very, strong military, but also a strong reflection of power. And I think this is something that, especially today, is much needed among all Western democracies.
He is Yinam Cohen. He's the Consul General of Israel to the Midwest. Consul General Cohen, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having nationwide access with an annual deductible of only $226. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor, C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com, is someone I know and trust. He's a 28-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Guys, a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and be sure to go to a provider you can trust. I trust my friends at Low T Center, where I've got my levels checked the past 8 years. At Low T Center, they make it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, it gets your results back in about 25 minutes. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, notice weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office where you have a long wait. It's concierge medicine exclusively for men. They have affordable and convenient options for treatment, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments that ship directly to you each month, so there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. And right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T level tested with results back in about 25 minutes. So what are you waiting for? Log on now to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Nick Philippus, co-owner of Joe Donut and a proud customer of Signature Bank. We're a locally owned artisan donut shop that focuses on chef-made small batch and craft donuts. We have 7 locations around the Chicagoland suburbs, with an 8th location coming soon. After opening our original stores in Glenview and Niles, we came to Signature Bank for financing for our new Mount Prospect location. From PPP and material delays in construction, Signature Bank was flexible and truly a banking partner that a small business like ours hadn't experienced before. Even their fraud department was able to stop a $30,000 fraudulent check from clearing our account. That allowed us to focus on selling donuts, knowing Signature Bank had our back.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
All right, 47 million people have no or unscorable credit and would benefit from a Team Hochberg Fresh Start secured credit card with no annual fee. A Team Hochberg Fresh Start secured credit is perfect if your vindictive ex destroyed your credit, you recently filed for or were discharged from bankruptcy, experienced a foreclosure or short sale, have collections, or if you were turned down for a credit or one of your kids is having trouble securing their first credit cards. Team Hochberg partnered with Kane County Teachers Credit Union to offer the Team Hochberg Fresh Start secured credit card with no annual fee to help reestablish, enhance, and strengthen listeners with no damaged or challenged credit. For more information about obtaining a Team Hochberg Fresh Start secured credit card with no annual fee, go to 56david.com/fresh start. Again, that's 56david.com/fresh start to establish, enhance, and strengthen your credit. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but they can't help you if you don't visit 56david.com/fresh start. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-514-9771. That's 800-514-9771. 800-514-9771. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
All right, when you give your body the best possible fuel, you have more energy, you're stronger, you think quickly, and the best fuel for your body is fruits and vegetables. How many did you have this weekend? Probably not enough, and that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 31 whole fruits and vegetables, no gluten. It's gluten-free, no preservatives, no dyes. The fruit capsules are red, the vegetable capsules are green, and you can taste the real food, the real nutrition that you're giving your body. So get the nutrition your body needs. Get Balance of Nature. 800-246-8751. 800-246-8751. Use promo code Chicago or online at balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Elevance Health Incorporated seeks engineer senior in Chicago, Illinois to analyze user requirements, serve as team lead for programmers, and develop front-end interfaces. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 43504. Elevance Health Incorporated seeks engineer senior in Chicago, Illinois to analyze user requirements, serve as team lead for programmers, and develop front-end interfaces. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 43504. Elevance Health Incorporated seeks engineer senior in Chicago, Illinois. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 43504. 43504. Elevance Health Incorporated seeks engineer senior in Chicago, Illinois to analyze user requirements, serve as team lead for programmers, and develop front-end interfaces. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 43504. Elevance Health Incorporated seeks engineer senior in Chicago, Illinois to analyze user requirements, serve as team lead for programmers, and develop front-end interfaces. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 43504. Elevance Health Incorporated seeks engineer senior in Chicago, Illinois. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 43504.
School has started. The nights are getting cooler. The sun is getting lower on the horizon every day. Winter is coming and coming fast. Keeping your business's doors and gates working properly to keep out the extreme weather is a major concern. Your business can't afford a loss of income or productivity. Think ahead before Old Man Winter arrives and call Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. for your commercial door maintenance and security tune-up now. You can't always plan when your doors break down, and it always seems to come at the least convenient time. Industrial Door Company will ensure your doors, grills, and gates are working to specification and give you advice on how to increase the life of your doors. See a range of products and services at industrialdoor.com and call anytime, 847-258-5620. Their team will be there before the extreme cold weather causes financial losses for your company. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. takes care of your doors so you can take care of business. Service and installation positions available now.
AM 560, The Answer.
So did you watch Colorado State game?
I saw the end of the game. It was a great comeback, and that Shadir Sanders, Deion's kid, is a great player. That 98 drive was spectacular. His performance in overtime was spectacular. They were also a 22-point favorite. The hype is at fever pitch. And
yeah, they're 3-0 right now.
And now we're going to see, because now it's time for Oregon this week and USC next week, the week after, and now we're going to see if they're real.
Well, 60 Minutes interviewed him twice in a year, which they rarely do, but merchandise sales are up 819%.
Right.
Season tickets sold out. He went from a town that was 83% black to a town that's 1% white, and they asked him, what are your first
1%
impressions?
white.
1% black, excuse me.
What are your first impressions?
Beautiful, unbelievable, just the whole peace and serenity of it all. I'd never fathomed coming here. I ain't never even vacationed here, man. I ain't never been skiing or whatever you call it, snowboarding or whatever, all the stuff. I ain't never done none of that.
You don't even fly fish?
No, I don't. I fish. I fly wide-eye fish, but I don't fly fish.
And he didn't have his shades on, Dan, so.
Deion Sanders didn't come to Colorado from another planet. He played college football. He played all over the place. He played professional football. He played all over the place. Played professional baseball. He played all over the place. What is it like to be in Colorado, this
With
mysterious
white
land? 60 Minutes is so pathetic. They can't even do that right. A simple, easy interview with Deion Sanders. They can't even get that right.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Clarence Page, Pulitzer Prize winning syndicated columnist, Washington-based member of the Chicago Tribune editorial board on school choice, Stacey Davis Gates et al., 838.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
832, quite a rainstorm for parts of the area about 24 hours ago. Flooding issues still a problem in the south suburbs and northwest Indiana. 4 people, including 2 children, were found shot to death in Romeoville. Investigators continue to probe the shooting in the 500 block of Concord Avenue. It occurred around 8:43 last night. Congress staring down a spending deadline at the end of the month with fears of a government shutdown if a deal can't be reached.
$2 trillion of deficit spending when your $32 trillion of debt is completely unsustainable, and it's not something that we can continue.
Texas Republican Chip Roy blames the Senate, whose version of a spending bill includes $6 billion more for non-defense emergency spending. The U.S. is swapping money and prisoners for 5 Americans detained in Iran.
The Americans include Siamak Namazi, imprisoned for nearly 8 years, and Damad Shargi and Murad Tabas. The 2 other Americans haven't been identified.
Republicans have accused President Biden of paying ransom to a known state sponsor of terror. Authorities in Southern California are looking for suspects after an L.A. County Sheriff's deputy was ambushed and killed.
We have a reward for $250,000 for the capture, arrest, and prosecution of the coward.
Ryan Klinkenbrummer was on duty Saturday when he was fatally shot in the head. UAW President Shawn Fain says not much progress in contract talks with Big Three automakers.
It's a shame that the companies didn't take our advice and get down to business from the beginning of bargaining back in mid-July.
Nearly 13,000 auto workers walked off the job last week demanding better pay and pension benefits. Illinois, officially the first state in the nation to abolish cash bail this morning. Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell says they won't be releasing criminal defendants already behind bars right away. They have a process for that. But he said there are major public safety and police morale concerns.
I really think that whenever I think the legislature sees a rise in the crime rates in Illinois, that maybe they'll go back and maybe repeal it, maybe work on reform that needs to happen.
Police in Maywood are searching for a former NFL player after his mother was found dead. Myrtle Brown and her son Sergio Brown were both reported missing over the weekend. Officers later discovered Myrtle dead in a creek behind her Maywood home. Sergio Brown attended Proviso East and the University of Notre Dame before 7 seasons in the NFL. Cubs are on a 5-game losing streak following a 6-2 loss to the Diamondbacks in Arizona. White Sox managed just 6 hits in a 4-0 loss to the Twins at Guaranteed Rate Field. Bears struggled to move the ball on offense in a 27-17 loss to the Bucks in Tampa Bay. The news, a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Donald Trump warned America. The U.S. dollar is under attack, and it's becoming less and less valuable by the day. Hyperinflation and speculation is killing your retirement. Don't leave your money sitting in cash. It's time you diversified and protected your future with physical precious metals. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 and get your free digital dollar survival kit and learn how you could get up to $1,000 in free silver today. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000 to get your free digital dollar survival kit, and you may qualify for $1,000 in free silver. Advantage Gold is the #1 rated gold and silver company in America. Your future is precious. Protect it today when you call Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 now.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Check with your financial advisor before investing.
That's 800-900-8000.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful at lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question, and the owners of Relief Factor tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. That's right, designed to heal, and I agree with them. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, yes, 100% drug-free ingredients, each helping your body deal with inflammation. Each of the 4 ingredients deals with inflammation from a different metabolic pathway. That's right there, approaching from 4 different angles, maybe why so many people find such wonderful relief. So if you have back pain, shoulder, neck, hip, knee, or foot pain from exercise or just getting older, you should order the 3-week quick start, discounted to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you. It has for about 70% of the 500,000 people who've tried it, and they've ordered more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, the number 4RELIEF, to find out about this offer. Feel the difference.
8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Blindster.com. Blind shades and shutters at low prices, custom made for your windows. Shipping is free. Shop at home, order 10 free samples of any product before you buy. Blindster.com. Eden's at 25 Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, it's an hour 20 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike, an hour 13 from 390 into the old post office. Right now, the Stevenson looking pretty decent, 50 minutes in, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 40 minutes on the Dan Ryan in from 95th to the Burns Circle interchange. On the Veterans Toll Road this morning, disabled vehicle left lane block northbound just south of 63rd. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Patchy morning fog this morning. Otherwise, partly sunny and warmer. High 72, 56 overnight, 70 tomorrow. 58 right now at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We've referenced this interview the great Thomas Sowell gave to Peter Robinson on his Uncommon Knowledge program. Interview he gave about his new book, Social Justice Fallacies. His new book, 40-something at least, at the tender age of 93, and he's still sharp as a tack, is Sowell. What a fun thinker, economist, thought leader he is. One of the things that he talked about, just looking at the last 100 years on the left, we've gone from leftist genetic determinists of the early 20th century, you can also refer to them as eugenicists, to where race was everything, to where racism is everything, as Sowell explained.
The people who believed that this was genetically determined, they said, that's it, that's the answer, and they moved on. Some other people said, let's look at it more closely. And they discovered that black soldiers from New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and one or two other states scored higher than white soldiers from Mississippi, Alabama, et cetera, et cetera. And as I mentioned in the book, people's genes do not change when they cross a state line. The problem is when you have people who are crusading for some idea, whatever the idea is, and they find some data that fits what they believe, that's the end of the story as far as they're concerned, which is fine if there are other people with contrary ideas who will look closer for something that goes the other way.
And then get listened to.
Yes, yes.
From the progressive position a century ago to the progressive position today, racial assertions have ranged from the genetic determinism that we just discussed, which proclaimed that race is everything as an explanation of group differences, to the opposite view that racism is the primary explanation of group differences.
Yes.
How did this happen?
Oh, it happened because a lot of people arrived at the same conclusion, and they had high IQs and PhDs, and that was the end of the story as far as many people were concerned.
All right.
I mean, a high IQ and low information is a very dangerous combination.
Sorry, but you once told me, I'm talking to a Harvard man, of course, I'm very conscious of this, and you once told me, Peter, the main advantage of earning a Harvard degree is that you never again in all your life have to be intimidated by anyone who has a Harvard degree. All right.
He's so awesome. But he goes on then to tackle this racism is everything position of today's left.
Has been lower than median white family income for generations. But the median per capita income of Asian groups is more than $15,000 a year higher than the median per capita income of white Americans. Is this the white supremacy we're so often warned about? For more than a quarter of a century, in no year has the annual poverty rate of black married couple families, been as high as 10%. And in no year has the poverty rate of Americans as a whole been as low as 10%. If black poverty is caused by systemic racism, do racists make an exception for blacks who are married?
Those were excerpts that Peter Robinson read from Sowell's book, social justice fallacies, and that last one I particularly like, right? So American poverty level last 2.5 decades never been lower than 10%. The poverty level of black married couples never been higher than 10%. If everything is systemic racism, then explain that. This is the somebody who looked a little further than what the left settled on once they got data to support a preordained position. One other comment that Thomas Sowell made to dovetail into our next guest: school choice. School choice. Long been a proponent of school choice, probably as long as one of his mentors at this stage, Milton Friedman. Here's what Sowell had to say about it. Remember, Sowell grew up in Harlem, and so he offers an anecdote about a charter school, what he looked at as an economist, a charter school and a government school in the same building in Harlem.
Problems are all due to racists. You will get their votes. But if you look at a lot of data on different things, you discover that's not the case. It's very doubtful if all the racists in the country today have half the negative effect on blacks as the teachers' unions have. Because the teachers' unions keep the schools lousy in areas where the people who send their kids to school do not have the option to send them to a private school if the schools are bad.
And then he goes on to detail this anecdote of the charter school and the government school, the straight-up public school in Harlem, in the same building, and same central demographics of the student population, and very different results when it came to proficiency in reading and math. Obviously, the charter school, significantly more proficient the percentage of students were, than the government school. And there's something there, and obviously that would extend beyond the simple explanation of systemic racism. Sowell argues, I think persuasively. For more on all of this, including that last piece, particularly school choice, please be joined again by Clarence Page. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning syndicated columnist and Washington-based member of the Chicago Tribune's editorial board. Clarence, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's been a while.
It has. Good to talk to you. And I know there's a lot there that we ran through with Tom Sowell, but maybe particularly just on that last part, since we've had this Stacey Davis Gates flap over the last couple of weeks, and what he said about the teachers' unions, that the unions have essentially done more to retard the intellectual development of black children than all the racists in the country, is more or less what he said.
Yeah, and that's a common argument, and there's unfortunate truth to it. I decided, I swung from the anti-school choice or school voucher position to pro back in the 80s, when this was a very hot issue back in the Reagan days, in my early days of punditry. And I realized that my own family, school teachers in my own family, and friends of my family, and all, most of them were public school teachers who had their kids in private schools. Yeah. And I followed up on this and found that there were, at that time, approximately 49% of public school teachers had their kids in private schools. And that was a statistic brought up by researchers, and it's still somewhere around that neighborhood. Paul Vallis cited a more updated statistic in arguing in our pages here recently for the ability of public school students to go to private school and take their funding with them, which is an issue now. In Chicago, as you mentioned, the teachers union has been very opposed to this, and even to the point of opposing the program which helps students to get into private schools, and I should say helps parents to get a tax break in Illinois for their private school tuition. And that, to me, I don't see what harm that is to the unions, but they certainly are very opposed to it because they're unions. They represent their constituents, and they
Right. When the kids
primary concern.
when the kids start paying dues, they'll worry about the kids. The famous Al Shanker formulation, or at least that's been attributed to him. Rings true. I mean, but you see, here's the thing.
That's realistic politics, which Chicago knows as well as anybody.
Well, but here's the thing. If I was advocating that the 40,000 families who benefit from the tax credit scholarship program in Illinois, that they have their scholarships removed, disproportionately low income, disproportionately minority, I'd be called a racist.
Yep.
But I'm advocating for the scholarship program, and I'm still racist. So which is it? When am I being a racist? I'm confused.
Well, I always say in regard to the R word, if the shoe fits, wear it. If it doesn't fit, ignore it or argue against it, whatever.
Yeah,
but
right.
The R word, you are right, is overly used. That's why I talk about in my own family and other friends who are in the black community who have kids, and the high numbers of them who go to send kids to the private schools if they can afford it. We've seen this, of course, also occur with Barack Obama when he was president, and just about every president we've had since Jimmy Carter has put their kids in private schools, and Carter did put Amy in a public school initially, and it was a premium Washington D.C. school. And it was, I believe, in her second year they quietly transferred her to a public school. Private school. At that time, so this is not a new issue.
No,
and I don't expect it to go away as long as you have these kind of conflicts.
What was your reaction when you heard that CTU President Stacey Davis Gates sends her son to a private school?
I decided to write a column. That's what.
Yeah, exactly.
The inspiration for the column you're referring to. I had written about choice in a long time, but in fact, at that time, the tax break for parents was not an issue then. It was being talked about. Now it is an issue, and the program is about to zero out at the end of this school year, I believe it is.
Calendar year, right?
To hit the sunset at the end of the calendar year, right? Exactly. And that just shouldn't happen. If you really want to have choice, there's some choice for everybody.
Well, I mean, here's the thing too. It's not just that it's not the choice that Stacey Davis Gates made for her kid, and I mean, I that's fine. I want her kid to get the best education he can get, just like everybody else. I want the same for everybody else. But here's the thing. I mean, and you know this. She is particularly obnoxious and incendiary on the topic. And I mean, and I'm not talking about, playing the victim, right wing honkies like me coming after so forth. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, the history, and you actually mentioned it in the DC scholarship program in your column. And who led that? Who led the DC scholarship fight? It was Miss Virginia Walden Ford, black mom, who they made a movie about. And in the early 90s, it was Polly Williams, a black Milwaukee city councilman working with Tommy Thompson. So her obnoxious rhetoric that this is a vestige of white supremacy, this is a manifestation of white supremacy, and so on and so forth. This is a way to defund public schools. None of that's true. But she's not attacking me. She's attacking people like Miss Virginia and Polly Williams, as far as I'm concerned. And I just don't see enough of a reckoning for her recklessness.
Well, the reckoning is elections. She got elected to the head of the school board, teachers union, for the same reason Officer Catanzara, I don't have his whole
John Catanzara, right?
Pardon me. Yeah, John Catanzara, very hard name to remember, John. But he was elected and reelected to the police union because of the fact that he talks tough, and this is the kind of role models that we have. I don't like it. I'd like to be more civil in our political rhetoric, but union leaders will go for what works. And it's unfortunate that we have lost a real good dialogue on this whole school choice issue, because it is not something that is racist now. I mean, Stacey Davis Gates said it was born in racism. Well, yeah, there were voucher-like programs were used to maintain segregation in the South. But now, as you know, it's really black communities, among others, that are really desperately seeking some kind of help for their parents. To put their kids in the best school possible. So, let's not talk about that kind of history that's not really relevant, and talk about what's going on now.
Were you surprised there hasn't been more public sentiment expressed by scholarship families in Illinois? Were you surprised, not
really. Yeah, well, I wasn't surprised because since the 80s, when I first started writing about this, I was surprised back then why more people weren't speaking out. But over time now, folks have kind of taken their different positions, and we don't really have the kind of frank discussions that can bring out the fact that black folks are very much in favor of school choice too. Those who have parents, have children. And why not? It's really something that shouldn't be a particularly racial angle, but that's because and this is where I know systemic racism is a factor, because I know after generations of being denied the best education possible that was going for white kids, we get these kind of fractured school districts and these kind of racially polarized arguments, and it's just not nuts. I mean, it's something I'm accustomed to, but when it does pop up, I feel like, here's something that I can attack in my column.
Yeah, right. Well, in the column, it's a good one. Check it out. Tribune, yes, black parents like school choice too. That's from Clarence Page, Pulitzer Prize-winning syndicated columnist, Washington-based member of the Chicago Trib's editorial board. Clarence, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to talk to you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A message brought to you by Paul Davis Restoration of North Chicago. It's a beautiful summer day in the Midwest. No clouds in sight, but on the horizon we spot trouble.
Oh no! I just received a call from my condo building manager, and 3 floors burned in a fire last night. My unit was severely damaged from soot and smoke. Now what do I do? Who do I call?
You call Paul Davis Restoration. Nobody expects to experience an insurance loss. The truth is, fires, floods, tornadoes, hail, and just plain bad things happen to over 1 million homeowners annually. You could be one of them. Whether you face a business or residential catastrophe, Paul Davis Restoration is ready to help you from the instant the fire is out, the tornado has passed through, or the floodwaters have receded. We have a 25,000 square foot warehouse within minutes of the Chicago Loop and can pack out clean, restore your items, and return them to you in record time. Visit Paul Davis Restoration online at pauldavischicago.com or call 773-883-8000. That's 773-883-8000 or online at pauldavischicago.com. That's pauldavischicago.com or call 773-883-8000 or online at pauldavischicago.com.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be due to low testosterone. Schedule your health assessment with my friends at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments for $155 a month, cash pay, or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near Low T Center, or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com to book online. Low T Center. Reinventing men's healthcare.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino, and believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-514-9771. That's 800-514-9771. 800-514-9771. Or go to selectquote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at selectquote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
When life ends, your legacy begins. Ensure your legacy lives on at Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties. Take advantage of 0% financing, lock in today's prices, and safeguard yourself against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, thanks so much for making us part of your morning. Thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, our executive producer. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Anything you want to say, Dan?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
That's everything I have to say.
Deputy, anything to add? And don't forget, Freedom Summit tickets are on sale. Go to freedomsummitchicago.org. That's freedomsummitchicago.org. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
They're no longer prisoners in Iran. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 5 Americans the U.S. says were wrongfully detained are on a plane flying from Iran to Qatar, released in a prisoner swap.
And the Iranians are also reporting that 2 of the 5 Iranian prisoners the U.S. is releasing have already arrived in Doha. The administration, by the way, has not given us the names of those 5 Iranians the U.S. is giving back. They say this deal is very fragile, but they said broadly these are not people that were charged or convicted of violent offenses, that they were mostly involved in sanctions violations. According to the Iranian Foreign Ministry, 2 of the 5 are going to remain here in the U.S.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. That prisoner swap also unfreezes $6 billion in Iranian money the U.S. says can only be used for humanitarian purposes. Republicans critical in Congress fear it'll be spent on terrorism and Iran's nuclear program.